Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover.
It just crossed him over nastily. Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sent him down.
It's on right now.
Crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete. Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It is
right.
The crossover. Matt McMaster. No Gary. First ever crossover for me.
I know.
Without Gary, Connor Happer, Josh Hodson. What's up, boys?
What are we going to do?
Have fun. Probably have more
I
fun.
agree. I think we're going to have fun. As long as you don't leave your water bottles in here.
I know. It's a bad habit. I just look. And
he just goes.
I just got to get out of here. I just got to leave. I just got to go.
But then you end up coming back in here anyway.
So yesterday I forgot my coat. And I had my keys in my coat.
Is this yours?
That's mine.
It's a collect.
That's mine. And then the back corner over there.
You got your Scooters gloves?
Scooters. No, these aren't mine. These are just kind of here. Should I take? I didn't bring gloves to
my the Scooters coffee bowl hat that they gave us last year in the box.
Yeah.
It is my everyday beanie.
Oh.
It is my everyday cold weather hat. I wear it every single day when I need a beanie.
It's a little ironic, but like when my mom, she gets pissed off at me because she'll buy me nice things and I'll lose those nice things. But those like free stuff that you get like for every first 10,000 fans.
It's always
like,
there.
Always there.
Yeah.
Like always hold on to it for my dear life.
I think there's a burden that comes with getting nice stuff. You're worried about it getting damaged or something like that. Well, and that actually increases the chances that it will get lost or not worn.
My thing is that
any thoughts about that? Like
I'm not a shoe guy because of that. Because I used to be into shoes, but then I would buy shoes and I would freak out that they got dirty.
They get dirty.
And it's just like I know
you have to like get in the mindset of you just have to rip the Band-Aid. Like I bought new like white not these. I bought new like white shoes.
Yeah.
Right before the College World Series this year. And what happens at the College World Series is I walk on clay
all
for
day.
The majority of the day. And it's a disaster, but you just have to go with it. You got to break them in it.
I wash these. So these are like my nice white shoes here. Like I clean them. They're not that bad actually.
I don't clean my shoes. I just get new ones.
I don't know.
I have a pair of shoes for a year and then I just get
Here's
new
the difference between you and I.
Yeah.
Up until like literally today, I've been paid on a part-time basis. So that's never really been an option.
So
for your boy, maybe
today's the first paycheck,
like first full-time paycheck ever.
But it's you get this is your first week, right?
Yeah,
you haven't been here 2 weeks.
I don't think he's got a paycheck then.
Oh no, I have. I got
paid.
Okay, I got paid.
Good.
All right,
I got paid.
Good.
How?
We'll talk about it later.
All right,
I got paid.
Okay,
I got paid. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Hey,
I'm excited.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I'm excited for you, Matt. I'm excited for you.
I know. I'm getting a Keurig for the office. Can you hear about that?
You're gonna get a Keurig, and then you're gonna go find a delicious sandwich.
I'm gonna get a Keurig, and then I'm gonna get fired. They're like, "That's what we did. We brought the kid in. He got us what we needed. Boom. He made the jump we didn't need. Out of here.
Clean break." And now we got a Keurig,
like the Sopranos, just dumped.
Dan asks,
"Hi, Dan.
Matt, what is the biggest shoe purchase you have ever made?"
Well, Dan, my parents bought my shoes, so I've never technically made a shoe.
He's never even bought a shoe.
I've never even bought a shoe.
He's never bought
I've
shoes.
never bought shoes, ever.
Think about that.
I've never bought shoes before. I've never been like, I've had my own money. I've bought like t-shirts and hoodies and what, but I've never bought my own shoes.
You should buy a shoe with this check.
Yes, with this mystery check.
I don't know where it comes from.
No one knows how you got paid. No. Maybe like I said, I'm not a shoe guy. Like I have a pair of shoes that I've been wearing. I bought them.
Yeah, wait a couple checks for the shoes.
I bought a pair of shoes before I went to college, freshman year, and I still wear them. Like they're 5 years old. Like I still wear them like they're new.
No, you haven't bought like you haven't even gotten new shoes in 5 years.
This was these shoes here. We're not gonna put them on camera. They're nice shoes.
Why not?
Like
hold them up
right there. There you go.
Boom! You're on Wiki Feet now.
There you go. Those shoes, these were my first bought pair of shoes in 2 years.
Dang.
I go years without.
That's cool. That's cool.
I'm not a shoe.
I like to have a bunch of the rotation.
I do have a bunch of the rotation after
but you just don't have to buy them.
Yeah, and I buy them in bulk too. Like I bought 3 other pairs 2 years ago with these shoes. You know?
Kaylin writes in poll question, have you ever bought shoes?
That is up at Happer's show.
All right. Perfect. We'll get that going. That's exciting.
Hey, I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Please.
What's the deal with the temperature in here? Great question.
Great question.
Why am I sweating?
Why
First
is it
off,
90 in here?
My co-host is a Neanderthal.
I know. It's sickening. It's disgusting. We've been making fun of him for it for a long time. I would love for you to continue on the tradition, please.
I just
stay on him about it.
So here's my thing, right? All right, whatever. You're in the hotel room. You want to max up the heat,
but you don't understand, Matt. This is how his house is.
Okay, so that's the problem.
Yes.
Jimmy told me off air. He goes, yeah, in his summer home, his summer place in Florida, he doesn't turn on the AC during the summer.
That's right.
The AC is not on.
And his home in Omaha, when it gets 100 degrees,
isn't on either.
He might turn it on, but he keeps it at like 8 in the 80s.
And he says his blood is thin. Go to a doctor. That's probably not the best.
I don't know. There's got to be a psychoanalysis of that. Now he's either doing it for a bit, or
you think he'd take a bit that far? That bit sounds miserable.
I do.
You really do.
Just dial it up, take a picture, and then dial it back down.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know.
So here's the funny thing too. Me being his co-host, I'm the opposite.
Yeah, you got to keep it
I'm
cold.
a 65.
Yeah, but that's normal.
Like
when you walk into a hotel, like I'm just hammering that thing down as far as it goes.
Absolutely.
It's not my money.
And just my theory is too, is that like, look, if I get cold, put on a hoodie.
Yeah.
You know, just put on, get a blanket, whatever. No, I want to ask why you and I are friends.
Agreed.
We're friends.
Agreed.
And we got Mr. Josh Odson over here trying to separate us.
Whoa.
Like he's jealous that I've just fit in like a glove here during the crossover.
I just asked friends
with his host. And now he's posting on Twitter about Buffalo chicken.
Yeah, he's trying to split us up.
Betty Crocker stirring the pot.
All I did was ask a question. If you took it as me trying to stir the pot, probably says more about you than it does me.
Yeah, Matt, it's true though. I'm not. It's going to be okay. You know,
we're going to be fine.
We could disagree on buffalo chicken and still be great friends. And I would once again show it for the camera. I expect that to be the case.
It's my banner now. Do you know that? You and me holding hands is my banner on Twitter.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
Out of rebellion to Jack Mitchell to show him where I stand on the war between two
Look
fronts.
at that. There it is.
That's a really funny
It's our banner.
At Matt McMedia, excuse me.
Yeah.
That is that's a good no context 1620 actually.
My favorite part is like, look at Happer, like a little confused, mouth open, no smile. Like there you go. The beard looks great in that picture though.
So we gotta get you on the no context 1620 situation. So okay, so let's look back since this is your
first week.
Yeah, your first week. So what are you thinking? Like what do you think of the people around here?
You know what? I actually do let's get serious here. I have said some stuff that was that may not have been like it was just like bad takes or whatever.
It's okay. You know? I have bad takes every second.
And or just stuff that's wrong. And I love that it's a listening radio station. You know what I'm saying? Like I love that there are people who are like who will email me and be like, "Oh, actually."
Oh, yeah.
You know? Or like who will comment like that. Like I enjoy that.
I can't remember what it was. My first week I got a scathing email. Josh, I can't remember what the subject line was. I had it saved for a long time. It was pretty rough though.
I will say this. There are points in our show where Gary and Jimmy will be referencing early 2000s football.
Just step out.
And I made the mistake of admitting
I'm out.
I made the mistake of admitting, not.
I heard about the Charlie Weiss fiasco.
Yeah, that was rough. That was tough.
Regrettable.
That was very regrettable. That's one of those moments where even Gary and he goes, yeah, just,
We all have blind spots.
Yeah.
He started coaching in 2005. We don't need to bring it up. We don't need to bring it up. We don't need to rehash it. We don't need to rehash
nobody knows as much.
Rehash it.
Nobody knows as much as Jimmy about random relief pitchers from 1991.
Yes.
So that's.
But look, I'm going to be real. I love working here. I wake up in the morning.
That's all I wanted to hear.
I talk about sports. The 8 people that I've met, because apparently no one works on Mondays, are very nice. Shake hands. I love working with Gary. Working with Gary is a dream. It's easy. We talk. We get along. We joke around. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more satisfied to work at a place like this.
Excellent.
And it's hopefully we keep on going. Just keep on the long haul, and this be a nice transition. The morning show to your show to Unsportsmanlike Conduct. And I'll say this:
flows like wine.
when I was at the college,
salmon a capistrano.
when I was in the college of journalism, like I would say, like I would love to work at 1620. Like I always said that. Like it was always like a bit of a pipe dream. And I don't mean to be kissing the ass of the people here, but like I just always used this place as like the top place of radio in Nebraska, and like to be able to like be here in a regular setting is absolutely incredible. So I'm happy, man.
Okay.
Ask me in 2 weeks.
All right.
Ask me in 3 months.
Well, no, we're just gonna keep checking in.
It's like the you know that meme with the guy when he started playing with the Cleveland Browns, and then like he was like, I'm so happy to be here in Cleveland, and then 3 months later he's like, I'm tired of this stuff. Tired of it.
Sometimes, you'll walk. This is how it is. Not to get too crazy here, but like, sometimes you walk out of the building and you're driving home and you're like, oh my God, do I suck at this?
Yeah.
Am I really bad at this?
Yeah.
And then some days you're like, damn, I feel good. Like I am.
Today I feel good.
I'm Steven
I'm
M
it.
Smith.
I'm the guy. I'm the guy.
I have so many good takes. And you just have to ride the old roller coaster. We're on it right now.
All right, I need to ask.
Get ready to get on the crazy train.
Because you guys are older than I am, which is a sentence that I say a lot here. If Nebraska were to play Creighton
in the Final Four,
where would that rank amongst biggest Nebraska sport matchups ever?
That is a great question. Creighton and Nebraska have never played each other in the NCAA basketball tournament. They have played each other in the NIT. So I'm just trying to think of other things that would be okay. It would be by far the biggest Creighton-Nebraska matchup in any sport ever.
But I'm ranking it amongst like Husker football national championships. Like I know that it's not greater than any of the 5 national championships they won or none of the 5 championship games that they've lost. But in terms of a big deal, it's pretty like non-football. Biggest game in Nebraska sports history, non-football.
Wow. Ooh. It is a volleyball state.
I think so.
Everybody would be pretty captivated.
You guys have a longer ledger of games that you can come up with. But in my time of being here, and then also
like what's big? What is define like what is big? Like most stakes or most excitement or most engagement.
Story. But that's the thing, though.
Like the coolest story. It's definitely the coolest story.
You were saying most stakes, best story, most engagement. Like that clears the list in almost everything. Because the stakes is going to the national championship.
Yeah, but like Nebraska football playing in
I'm saying non-football. I'm saying non-football.
Okay, non-football.
Is this the biggest non-football?
Yeah, because you cover pretty much everybody. Right?
Everybody.
I mean, remember the day Nebraska and Creighton played back-to-back in the NCAA basketball tournament?
Mm-hmm. Great times.
That was a pretty big day.
Sure.
Like just as far as like exciting days go.
Like here's a great question. Nebraska versus Creighton, is it bigger than volleyball day?
Oh boy. I mean, once again,
like two different events,
different categories of bigger.
I think it might mean more to us, but nationally, like they're not going to be talking about it on Good Morning America.
That's a good point.
Great. Yes.
It's a great point.
That's definitely.
If it happens, I want it to happen so bad. I think it'd be so cool. I think it'd be really cool.
I wish they'd play in the national championship game.
Yeah,
because I think they're both capable of winning a championship.
I think the coolest part about the volleyball between Nebraska and Creighton is like, yes, there's going to be animosity between Creighton fans and Nebraska fans. Nebraska fans are going to want Nebraska to win. Creighton fans are going to want Creighton to win, obviously. Yeah. But there will also be this kind of coming together syndication of like, we are
that's how it
a volleyball state.
Volleyball state.
Like this is something to be proud of. Like if Nebraska were to beat Creighton in the Final Four, there would be like I wish Creighton won, but there would also be
you hear a lot more
good for them. Like
what if that's where Creighton got the win over Nebraska?
Yeah.
Oh well. So here's then all of a sudden it would turn a little bit.
So I will say this: if Nebraska beats Creighton, Creighton would be very gracious in defeat and be like, "Hey, good for you,"
because they still got over the hump.
Because they got over the hump, and they're there, and it was a hell of a season. But if Nebraska were to lose to Creighton, that would be different. I don't know if there's so much happiness and good for you
after that.
It would turn. It would be like, damn it. There would be some anger.
There has definitely been And we always say this when they play each other at the beginning of the year in volleyball. They have always had this like, oh, what we're doing is cool for the sport. It's like everybody come together and do that thing. Now, would it be different if Creighton had won a couple in the quote unquote rivalry or the matchups?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
If this was a legitimate rivalry,
would be, because you are like, if you peruse through the comments on just volleyball chatter in the state, you will see most Nebraska fans, like Terry Pettit always posts on Facebook. Terry Pettit loves Facebook. So Terry Pettit's all of his Facebook posts come up, and it's all Husker fans. And he Facebook posts about the Jays sometimes.
Sure.
And he says how impressed he is about what they do and how impressive their roster is and their coaching staff and all that stuff. And it's Husker fans in the comments who are like, I agree. I root for the Jays in every game except the one game.
Yeah.
I root for the Jays every single time. You just don't see that in basketball.
I kind of want the Jays to win now.
Wow.
Because here's why. I'll tell you why. And there, I'm going to lose my Nebraska card.
Wow.
Part of me, because I love, listen to me. I like my alma mater. I love my alma mater. I love the Bears. I love the Cubs. I love the teams that I have an interest for.
Mm-hmm.
But what I love is a story. I love a good story. And I also love great drama. Okay? And I'm a little bit sick and tired of this volleyball state being happy-go-lucky-go. Let's all high five everybody. Sunshines and rainbows. We're all great. We're all incredible. This is a volleyball state. We're all awesome. We're all winners in our books. Wouldn't it be kind of good? Wouldn't it be kind of fun?
You want to get an edge to it?
If there was an edge, if there was a little bit of animosity, if it was a real rivalry, if Creighton could hang over, hey, everything, you won all the other matchups, but you know what? We won the big one. We got the big one.
We ended Lexi Rodriguez.
Yeah.
We ended the unfinished business.
We ended Merritt Beeson. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, you don't think there'd be Creighton fans puffing their chest out a little bit? Being like, oh, you're the volley. Oh, my God. Couldn't you imagine if, like, we're the volleyball school? We're the true volleyball school. You're not we're the volleyball school now. Could you imagine how tight and intense that would get? Don't you want that a little bit? Don't you want it a little bit?
I think it would.
Ooh.
Yeah. It would be.
It'd be something.
It would definitely be different. It would definitely change the.
You're smiling thinking about it, Happer.
Well, I'm just thinking about like what that looks like afterwards.
It'd be a very different world. It'd be a very different world that we live in. If that
it's a
were to
mess.
Happen.
It's very messy, and I think it's good. It's good to have some disruption in that world.
Don't you want it?
And don't get me wrong. Like I would love Creighton volleyball to beat Nebraska.
Sure,
but having it happen for the first time in the Final Four would be. Remember when Duke and North Carolina played in the Final Four a couple years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the whole build up to that game was, well, this is the bragging rights of all bragging rights. If you win in the Final Four, then you have it just forever.
You have it.
It doesn't matter.
It never goes away. You hang a banner. They'll hang a banner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You'll get to go to a national championship.
They'll hang a banner, and that'll be it. And you'll have to, John Cook and all the players forever when they play at the CHI Health Center will have to look at that banner and know the defeat they faced. It'd be great. It'd be good.
Now who's stirring the pot?
Yeah. That's him. He's stirring. What'd the call say, by the way?
He liked the he
likes the way it is.
He believes volleyball is as big in the state because of the camaraderie amongst all the teams. They're like, hey, we're all lifting this.
Yeah, but you don't lose that just because it gets less friendly between the two.
I would agree.
It doesn't go away.
There was
you now just get the build on top of it.
There was someone that CJ Swan said it in the YouTube chat. It's not a rivalry. The Jays have never beat the Huskers. You're right. It's not a rivalry. But if they were to,
what if it was?
What if it was?
Yeah.
It'd be fun. It'd be fun, man. It'd be a good time.
Text from the 4. So let's get a couple of thoughts here.
Go ahead.
From the 402. If the Jays won that game, they damn well better win it all. Us Huskers would be pissed.
Yeah. So that'd add fuel to the fire. If they were to lose to Texas, or no, they play Texas. But if they were to lose, that was a stupid saying for me. But if they were to lose to someone in the national championship, yeah, that'd be rough.
Jim McCain on Facebook.
Jim.
Matt had a great week until just now.
Why?
Now he can F off GBR.
Heck yeah! I went. People gotta understand. I went to the school, but I like to play both sides here. On both sides of the aisle.
You're both sides in it. You're both sides in
a little bit. I work at 1620 now.
Home of the Creighton Blue Jays.
Home of the Creighton Blue Jays.
O-Trip says, let's just worry about beating Texas and Penn State.
Fair enough. I agree with you.
Yeah. Big road to hoe.
Now, look, here's the thing. Yes, when the two teams play, I will be in my Nebraska Cornhuskers quarter zip. I will be watching it. If the two teams play, I will be watching it from a place in the Haymarket. Don't get me wrong. You know,
you're going to be like,
I graduated from there. It's very clear. It's very clear who I'm going to want to win that game.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
It's very, very clear I'm going to want to win that game. But if they were to lose, I would just be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe this is what the state needed.
Well, long way to go. Long way to go to get there. But
I'm just throwing it
possible
out
that is the conversation. What would the travel plans look like to Louisville, Kentucky next week if that was the case? It would be a boon for the Louisville economy.
I was going to say it'd be like an Eras tour. it would be like a Taylor Swift concert out there.
Would Creighton and Nebraska playing in the Final Four kind of be like the Eras tour?
Yeah, they'd get another
one. At Happer show.
Yeah, put that one up there.
Oh, that'd be a good. Yeah, that is a good poll. There would probably be people who would go to Louisville who wouldn't have tickets.
Jordan says it should be illegal to go to UNL and cheer for Creighton.
I'm not cheering for Creighton. I'm not cheering for Creighton.
Well, I got bad news. I got bad news for Jordan. A lot of people do that.
Well, you just got had a guy who just called in here and said the camaraderie's good and that he wants to root for Creighton volleyball.
Matt, here's the thing. So this week, this is always going to be a difficult thing to understand. I think.
For me?
No, not necessarily for you. Just to be I don't understand what's so difficult about it. You know, from Omaha, yes, went to Nebraska, grew up enjoying Creighton, root for Creighton. That doesn't seem that hard to me. But you'll always hear from people who are like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I'm like, it's the only way I know. So it will never go away. It will always be the same talking point every single year, no matter how annoying it is. And maybe multiple times a year they play each other in volleyball or whatever it might be.
Like
they
I
play
said,
each other in baseball.
I don't know if you heard my official J-Skirt take.
I don't think I did.
But just to sum it up, I just don't think it's reasonable to ask someone with a really good, and this is in particular with basketball, I don't think it's reasonable to have someone from Omaha grow up in Omaha with an incredible basketball team in their backyard, going to those games, watching those players play, seeing them win, seeing them go to the tournament, and obviously rooting for them, and then saying, hey, because you root for that great team that's 15 minutes away or 10 minutes away from you, you're not allowed to have football.
Yep,
no football for you.
You're revoked.
We'd rather you be an Iowa fan than a Husker fan.
People will definitely say
no, I'm not putting words in people's mouth. I don't know if that's the case. If they would Husker fans rather Creighton Blue Jay fans be Iowa fans?
Would Husker fans rather
the people who hate J-Skers, the people who are like J-Skers are the worst? Would you rather them be Iowa fans? Would you rather have a slew of Iowa fans in your state?
So in this scenario, you're just saying that Creighton doesn't exist.
No. In this scenario, I'm just asking the people who are mad that Creighton basketball fans root for Nebraska football. Mm-hmm. Would you rather Creighton basketball fans root for Iowa football?
Here's a comment.
I don't think so.
From Dwayne the Rock Hudson.
I'd say probably not.
Being from Omaha is such a cop-out. Do you think Kansas fans cheer for K-State football because they're from Manhattan? I would argue that in Manhattan, you have a basketball and a football team to root for.
Yeah, you do. You don't have. If there was
Creighton does not have football.
There you go. If there was a Creighton football team.
Also, I didn't know about Nebraska basketball. I didn't even know Nebraska basketball was a thing.
Yeah.
When I was growing up living in Omaha,
the thing
is, sucked.
If Creighton football existed, and then there was people rooting for Husker football because they're so good or they're so whatever, then now here's the thing. Here's what I say. If you go to the University of Nebraska and you were in Lincoln and you grew up in Lincoln, but you root for the Blue Jays because they're so good, even though you're an hour away from them, and you grew up there and went to that school, that's where I'm like, no.
That's a little weird.
That's a bandwagon.
I don't
That's
think.
that's a bandwagon.
I
If
don't
you're
think-
in Omaha,
I
though,
think my
you're good.
I think my J-Sker rules are a lot less.
Also,
I don't have. Basically, what I'm saying is I don't think I have any J-Sker rules.
And neither do
I don't
I. I
really
think it's
care.
stupid.
Root for whoever you want to root
some
for.
people are just relentlessly positive and want to see others do well.
That's true.
Well, that's the thing too.
That's
and I
true.
hope people look at this and don't look at me as like, Matt went to Nebraska. How dare he say this? I'm from Chicago. Okay, like this is
Thin
me
crust
being,
pizza. No, thank
this
you.
is
I'm
this
from
is me
Chicago.
being a little bit of a third party observer here and just saying, like, it's not that big of a deal.
Swift says my friend thinks that J-Skers should wear blue on Husker football game days just to identify.
I just think
themselves.
that's
That's
you're getting
a lot of parallels there.
dangerous territory there, Swift.
Under hits.
dangerous territory.
What do you got on the show today? What are you boys talking?
I don't know. Nonsense. We'll talk some volleyball.
It's almost like nothing happened this week, right? Nothing occurred in the sports world. What a dry week.
Nothing going on.
Terrible week to be on the radio.
I'm just gonna be thinking about how I'm in a sauna this entire time. I'm literally. I can
Is there a
feel this.
thermostat?
It is
I'm
uncomfortable.
sweating.
I
I'm
can
sweating.
feel the
It is
sweat
uncomfortable.
dripping down my body.
It is,
and I know it's an uncomfortable vision for you all to hear, but I just want to let you know the situation that we're dealing with.
Are you a
today.
sweaty human?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's a gold bond alert day. A little bit, yeah.
I am. I
I'm
get
not a
pretty
sweaty
sweaty.
boy. Not a sweaty boy.
Yeah, no, my pits are dripping right now.
Well, you have fun today. Don't forget your cup. All right.
I will try not to. Crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha. EverlevelConcrete.com.
Look at
Thank you,
him.
boys, so much. Connor Happer Show coming up next.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Friday. It's the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Odson with you. Oh, you still got a couple grunts left over from yesterday?
The more we do the segment, the more I just grunt things. Hey, honey, do you want chicken for dinner?
What kind of chicken? That doesn't answer my question.
Words!
Chicken parm? Yeah.
I give her the Home Alone.
Chicken and rice grilled. Chicken and sweet potatoes.
Mushy.
Yeah. All right. Welcome in. Happy Friday. A lot to cover coming up for this weekend. The basketball, the volleyball, the football. There's a little football. That's, of course, if you like pageantry and tradition.
I do.
I watch Army and Navy. I watch. So the game starts at what, 11, right? 2. Oh, 2. I'm sorry. The game starts at 2. I watch probably about 20 minutes before kickoff and then kickoff every year. And then I stop unless it's a good game.
There you go.
Is that the plan?
Is
that the play? Could be the move.
I watch a drive from each team. I back away.
Yep.
Fourth quarter, what's the score? Do I need to go back?
Do I need to check this out? But I do love the pageantry.
I guess even
I love the flyover. I love the national anthem. All these things.
Even after the game, they sing together, or
they do their little little thing.
Just forgive my ignorance.
I don't know what any of it is.
The names,
but I love it because it happens on this day every year. This is a weekend in college football that is untouched by the greedy hands that have dirtied our sport. The Army-Navy game and the Heisman this weekend.
The Heisman's back.
Is the Heisman back?
Yeah.
There are Heisman debates going on right now. All we needed was Travis Hunter to get involved. Do we need to have the Travis Hunter conversation today, Josh?
But I think as important as Travis Hunter is to the conversation, an adversary to Travis Hunter who's willing to say snaps aren't stats.
Ashton Genty.
Like if Ashton Genty was just a ho-hum boring, hey everybody, I'm just very happy that you've recognized Boise State football. I'm thrilled to be in New York. That's not as fun as a guy who's willing to go, no, I want the Heisman.
And neither of our candidates go to Alabama, Ohio State.
I think that's part of it too.
Clemson, Florida State, like whatever the blue blood, Georgia, the blue bloods of the sport.
There's a man named Quinn.
We got a running back who plays at a group of 5 school, who's in the playoff, and we got a corner / wide receiver who is incredible, and he plays in the Big 12.
By the way, I would like some kudos for being right about Quinn Ewers.
What did Quinn do?
Years and years ago, everyone told me Quinn was going to win the Heisman, and I said, a man named Quinn cannot win the Heisman.
Oh,
I was right.
What if they just told you that he was going to be good and he was going to, take Texas to the college football playoff twice?
That wasn't what they said. They said he'd win the Heisman.
They said that?
And I said a man named Quinn cannot win the Heisman.
What's Quinn going to be cooking after this year? What if
he's declared for the draft?
But what if somebody was like, hey, cool, why don't you come to my school and I'll pay you $8 million to be our quarterback next year?
Good question.
Not totally convinced about his NFL future.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. His name is Quinn after all, Josh.
That's right.
His name is Quinn.
Quinn.
All right. Today on the show, Bryan Munson will join at the top of the hour. A lot to cover in recruiting. Nebraska, handshake meme, Miami. Nebraska, handshake meme, Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to a great Kansas City related podcast over my last 2 commutes. Eric Hosmer's podcast. Eric Hosmer had
there it is. Okay, that makes sense.
Eric Hosmer and Mike Moustakis had Alex Gordon on.
Gordo.
And it was as loose as I've ever heard Alex Gordon. Like he was loose. He was great. He was telling stories. It's genuinely a good listen. The Digging Deep podcast with Eric Hosmer.
I have heard of this.
Yeah. They do some pretty good like videos and content and stuff like that as well.
Content.
They do content.
Wow.
They got a podcast. They do content.
Do they wait 2 weeks to post their content, or do they do it immediately?
They do it pretty much right away.
Interesting.
They do this thing where like the podcast is like a cold open, like you're immediately dropped into a mildly interesting story, and that lasts like 2 minutes.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then the open hits.
Okay.
Maybe we should do that with this radio show. Just fire off something right out of the gate and then say, hey, welcome to the show. But we got 4 hours.
We do.
It's a little bit different.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
So that's it. Yeah, maybe I'll bring that up when we talk about Kansas City with Munson. Here in just a little bit, Brian Christopherson joins at the bottom of the 11 o'clock hour, and we'll hear from Sipple. So I got a chance to hear some of Sipple's show on Wednesday. I was recommended that I listen to a segment of Sipple's show.
Are they reading more inappropriate names in the YouTube chat?
That's the Husker Online show, but his radio show.
Oh, okay.
And so I did, and it's abundantly clear immediately in that segment that Sipple is on the verge of death. He is
like ill. He's ill?
He's incredibly sick.
Okay.
I text him immediately. I go, Sipple, I just listened to a part of your show. Are you dying? And he said, yes.
Oh no.
Yes, I cannot. I'm on the verge of death. This is horrendous. And then I said, Sipple, you're a grinder, man. Like, you just grinded it out. And he always takes compliments in very interesting ways.
He does. So he will be with us today?
That's the plan.
Hopped up on coffee.
I don't know what he's felt like each of the last 2 days.
Okay.
But definitely a couple days ago, not great. So we'll give him a call. We'll see what happens at 12:30. That's the lineup powered by the Rooferees of John Higgins Weather Guard. Want to hear from you all. 402-951-1620 on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor, Josh at 1620thezone.com in the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers today. Theo, who has been trying to notify us about happenings in the WWE.
That's right. He has. He's got the intel.
Do we care to
well, it is
pass that along?
It is Husker related.
A member of the track team is apparently on the radar to be a WWE person.
Yes, Megan Walker.
Okay.
That's Megan with an H. Has been
Meg Han.
She's in Florida doing a tryout or training with the WWE. She took a picture with Triple H today.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Triple H.
Yeah. The game.
Is that the guy who says, time to play the game?
Yeah.
Time to play the game.
You got it.
Yeah, I like that. So I used to know the songs.
He runs the whole thing now.
Yeah, I used to. Really?
Yeah.
How about that? Mm-hmm. Does he still have long hair?
No, he has no hair.
Well, that's not.
He's got a pacemaker now too.
Really?
Yeah.
Is Kane involved?
No, he's the mayor of Knoxville.
That's right. I don't think it's Knoxville. I like
Knoxville
Kane.
County.
I always liked Kane.
Yeah, that was your guy. You've said that.
I always liked Kane. Just a gigantic guy. I know there was some like devil stuff in there, but don't trust me. It's okay. Yeah. I turned out to be well adjusted, I think.
Trust me, it's okay.
Theo says, "Don't change a thing, Happer Show. We won't.
Couldn't if I tried.
We will not. Joel writes in.
Hi, Joel.
Both Army and Navy sing their alma mater songs, and the winning team gets to sing last. I'm a true sicko. Made a PowerPoint about the Army Navy game in my 7th grade computer class. What a great subject for a PowerPoint in your 7th grade computer class.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
What grade did you get, Joel?
Yeah, did you get a B? C?
Imagine.
I think everybody gets an A for doing stuff.
Yeah. Imagine the kid did an Army Navy PowerPoint.
Yeah, what are you gonna say? Yeah. C. All right, cool. Hate the troops, I guess. Mm-hmm. All right. Elsewhere on the show today, adding to the Nebraska roster from yesterday. We haven't really
adding.
Yeah, they got Mr. Nwanery.
I was told they would never be able to field a team ever again.
Well, we'll see what happens to the bowl game. Still unclear in that regard.
Tighter deadline there.
Creighton volleyball in the Sweet 16 at noon against Texas. Nebraska fans, you are met with an interesting dilemma. Creighton or Texas?
Oh, yeah. How you doing?
Is it a win-win? Is it a win-win? Because one of them
will lose.
Has to lose. Somebody has to lose.
Someone in the chat earlier when we were having our J-Sker volleyball conversation said, "No, I want Texas. I want revenge."
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right. Different strokes for different folks, I guess. And then Nebraska volleyball this evening at home against Dayton. And then potentially Sunday for a spot in the Final Four. We'll see what happens with Creighton today. Will they go tomorrow or will they go Sunday as well?
They go Sunday as well, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Creighton and Texas. The first match today. So we'll have that. We'll keep you updated. We will not disseminate.
Sunday evening. No, we would never disseminate.
But we'll keep you updated. That match starts in just a little bit over an hour. Let's go back during the show today and take a look at some of the preseason predictions that we logged during prediction week. Can't be good. Can't be good. Got no idea what's in there. Cannot be good.
There are 3. We did 1 a day, and that equated to 3.
Other people that will come up. Juan Soto, Bill Belichick, Nate Borkircher, Bo Ricka, Nate Bo Richter. He might come up today. And then all of our esteemed guests as well. Welcome to a Friday show. By the way, Joel says he got an A.
All right,
he says he's
Joel.
pretty sure he was an A, but it was definitely a participation trophy class.
Oh, okay.
That's all right.
No, yeah.
Most classes are. All right, we're off and running on a Friday. Thanks for being with us. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Friday the 13th, spooky. I asked young Nick Grimm this morning, Nick, are you a big Friday the 13th guy? Expecting him to say, absolutely. I love Friday the 13th.
I love Halloween. It's better than Christmas.
I love all things about the unknown and the spooky and the scary and the paranormal. That's what I was expecting. Did I get that? No. I was immediately shut down. I like Halloween, but I don't like Friday the 13th, which I really can't tell the difference between the two.
And then he went on a rant about superstitions. I don't. Superstitions are dumb, which is odd for a guy who loves baseball so much.
I don't know. I just can't quite peg that guy. I can't quite figure out what he's going to say at any given moment.
That's a good quality to have in this business.
I think so. But I've always said, Josh, like I want to be so consistent that people know what I said, what I'm thinking before I say it.
You got to be one or the other.
Yeah.
Which is why I have not succeeded.
Yeah, you're a flip-flopper.
Yeah. I'll say anything.
No, I think, Josh, you're pretty consistent.
Okay, good.
You're pretty consistent. But
I'm going to be consistent in telling you how hot it is in this room today.
It's miraculously cooled down at least 3 to 4 degrees since the start of the crossover.
It's brutal.
But yeah, it's warm. Looking forward to that. Or apparently we're getting a pizza in it's a Jay's watch party pizza time.
Pizza party in the office for Creighton Volleyball, also because it is December and nobody works in December.
That's right.
Which is actually the one time I think that's okay.
Yeah, like it is. Nobody in your office is working. Nobody in our office is working. Speaking of, Josh, you reminded me of this today.
Oh no!
Today is our last show together until this is going to be hard to understand. This is going to be our last show together. This will be our second to last show together this year.
That's right.
Maybe. We have a problem that we need to fix on the 31st.
Questions have been asked, answers have not been given.
Yeah, okay, so we'll get there, but it could be our second to last show of 2024 together. I will be here all of next week. Josh will be accompanying the Iowa Western Reavers to somewhere in Texas,
Canyon, Texas, just outside of Amarillo.
Just a suburb of Amarillo.
Yeah.
There's got to be a song about that. Just outside of Amarillo. There's got to be
a West Texas town of Amarillo.
That was kind of what I was. Yeah, that's kind of what we were going for. So Josh will be gone all next week. I don't know what I'm going to do without you.
You will have a lot of Peter Man and one instance of the Joey Man.
All right.
As I tell you things over the air for the first time.
I got it. Like, I don't know. Maybe somebody else will come in and do a show with me or something like that.
We can make that happen if you'd like.
All right. And then the next week, we're all gone for Christmas. Merry Chrysler.
Don't you ruin another Honda days.
Yeah. So the next 2 weeks are going to be a little bit choppy. So Josh, you better get in your takes for the bowl game.
Oh yeah.
Do you have a hype speech? How dare you forget?
I do not have a hype speech.
How dare you forget? The Pinstripe Bowl hype speech is that's going to need to happen today.
No players, no problem.
Who is Dakeel Shorts? I don't know.
We don't take it in the shorts.
Exactly. Yeah, something like that. On Friday the 13th, from John on the Equitable Bank inbox.
Hi, John.
I was born on a Friday the 13th, along with a full moon. The day never bothers me.
I believe today is also a full moon.
Really?
I saw a bunch of, my wife is an educator, and occasionally, because of our shared interests, I get teacher memes on my phone. Just because my phone's listening to me all the time.
Yeah.
And it said, when it's Friday the 13th, almost Christmas vacation, and the full moon. And it's, a teacher just putting coffee into an IV and strapping it into their veins.
Oh, also, Josh, we haven't we haven't done the prototypical sports radio thing, which is like, give me your favorite Christmas movies or give me your favorite Christmas like things or whatever it might be. The next time we see you will be after Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
You have a favorite Christmas movie?
I've always loved Home Alone the most.
Really?
Yeah. Christmas Vacation second. I watched Elf last night.
My wife asked me this. I don't think I've ever been put on the spot on it. Like, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Wow.
And I had to really think about it. And I think my answer is actually Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
The claymation.
The claymation.
Christmas. Yeah. Yukon Cornelius.
I love that. I get so happy every time I see that.
I saw something this week. It was
because I'm not a huge Christmas Vacation guy.
Oh,
I
love Vegas Vacation.
I just think the other vacations are not European.
Regular Vacation.
Regular Vacation number 1, Vegas Vacation 2, Christmas Vacation 3. It's among my hottest takes, but I think Christmas Vacation is a little bit overrated. And I'm mad at it because it doesn't really follow the trend of the other vacation movies.
Okay.
I always put it in the context of the vacation. Now, most people look at it
fair.
as like, oh, it's a Christmas movie, and I'm just going to take it as a Christmas movie. I just don't view it that way because I have the pretense of the other vacations.
Yeah.
That's my reasoning. Anyway.
I like in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer that the water pistol that shot out jelly was on the island of Misfit Toys when just don't put jelly in that thing and it'll work just fine.
That's exactly right. There's a lot of questionable instances, questionable things in that movie.
Yeah.
I like it though. I think it's my favorite. It's
very good.
I think I always used to say A Christmas Story. And I'll still watch that every time it comes on. The problem is with that movie, like it's always on one of the cable channels or whatever. It just takes so long. It's such a longer movie. It takes a long time to get through. I feel like you're watching it in like 10-minute segments. I don't know.
Well, it's one of the few things that are like, okay, if we put this on TV, people will watch it. So we have to inject a lot of ads into it.
And I do watch it. That's for sure. A couple comments here before we take a break. CJ, do you not have access to the thermostat? No,
we don't.
We do not. It's actually right outside of our room, locked in a case.
Yeah, you need a key.
Travis says,
Hi,
I'm
Travis.
sorry, but if the room is uncomfortably hot, there would be a 100% chance that I would do the radio show from the hallway or outside. I am a nightmare when I'm overheated. I just like it just goes up and down drastically at any given moment. So like 1 minute we're surviving, the next minute we're just sweating. It's painful. All right. We can get some more comments as we return, but we also need to chat with our dear friend Bryan Munson. Never a dull moment in Cruton, Josh.
Never,
ever, ever. So we'll have that discussion on a Friday the 13th. Ooh, spooky. Coming back on 1620 The Zone.
Bryan Munson.
Hey, long call. Comfy left zoom buster. 63 bang. Z Maui. Alert. Paradise Z Burger Y Wrap on one.
Husker Online on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, it's time for our weekly Cruton catch-up with Bryan Munson of HuskerOnline.com, and there is quite a bit to catch up on, even though signing day was last week. Munson, hello. Happy Friday. How are you?
Hey, buddy. Yeah, there's a lot to get caught up on. I thought we had this stuff all in the rear view, and now it's total chaos again.
It never ends. It'll be the same thing, I'm sure, next week, too. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll slow down on this front around Christmas time as Nebraska really locks in on its bowl game. But feels like this is just December for us now.
Well, and obviously I think that this is good news. I mean, we had some really good news yesterday to report, and I think that some of the activity that we'll discuss here in the coming minutes, is going to be kind of the music to the ears of your listeners, because Nebraska's not wasting any time, but I do think that we need to get into like the bloated markets of some of these positions and how profit sharing is kind of, doing some of these things out there in the market space.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No doubt about it. I assume that will all come up in this conversation. I wanted to ask you, I mean, we've spent no shortage of time talking about just the specific areas in the country where Nebraska seems to be really, really honing in on. They now have multiple members of their staff that are connected to the Kansas City area. They now have multiple members of their staff and maybe more that are connected to South Florida, in the Miami area. It just really feels like these are two spots where Nebraska's really said, all right, there's players here, and now there's a bit of a pipeline growing, and even more so this week with the additions to the staff.
Absolutely. And so, let's focus on KC first, because I think that KC, the results so far that Nebraska putting the resources there and kind of treating it as like, priority number one, they've gotten results out of it. I mean, here we are, we're like you said, a week and a half after 2025 signing day. What did Nebraska do in that space? Well, the first thing they did is they went after, Jamar Mosey's son, and they get Isaiah to flip from Oregon. They eventually flip Juju Marks, and then they go ahead and flip Dawson Merritt from Alabama. And to kind of put the cherry on top, yesterday they add back, 5-star plus edge Williams Nwaneri, who committed and signed with Missouri out of high school, and only played like less than 40 plays last season, and technically was on an unofficial visit to Nebraska yesterday. I think like at the time that he really was going into the portal, and decided to go ahead and commit and announce his intentions to go to Nebraska. So, I mean, I talked to Lee's Summit North current head coach, Jason Rogers last night to talk about it, and Mosey's obviously has got his hands in all this stuff. And he obviously, when I called to try to get updates from Isaiah, from Nwaneri, through the various visits that they were taking together when Nwaneri was a senior and Isaiah was a junior, I had to call Jamar. I had to call Isaiah's dad, and I would get the good bits of information. So now all of a sudden Jamar's back with the University of Nebraska, so I can't really hit that guy up. But Jason was on the staff and had tremendous things to say about Nwaneri and what his potential looks like. Like, he's an NFL guy. He's a guy that's going to play on Sundays. Somewhere down the road. He's just a little raw, and he's got to find that right kind of scheme, and they really feel like Nebraska can do it. And Coach Rogers had a lot to say, obviously, about the other things going on in Lincoln that are right with the coaching staff, with the facilities, and obviously with Coach Mosey and the culture. I think that is really going to fit those kids from KC. And as Sean kind of outlined this morning too, that's very important that you don't want to overlook this either. But he's, Coach Mosey is very familiar, like, with the passing league 7-on-7 stuff too. And as we all know, like, obviously there's a group of folks that, they really kind of go to that stuff with the tournaments, and, and there's obviously a really big one down here in Texas that everybody kind of hopes to get into in College Station. But, yeah, I think that this is, I think the Kansas City stuff's taken off. And then I think the Philip Simpson, coming back from Florida State to Nebraska and obviously being named the outside linebackers coach is a huge boost for Nebraska because of his contacts to South Florida. I actually talked to Cortez Mills last night doing a getting to know interview with him. And he mentioned, of course, that he had, Coach Simpson was his head coach at his high school, his freshman and sophomore year. So, and he said, he knows everybody down there. And he said, that's how all those guys kind of got to know one another, through Coach Simpson. And, then variously, like it just kind of kept extending, by degree of, one other kind of relationship. And you can really kind of build that web, through South Florida. So it's going to be huge to get Coach Simpson back into the fray, let him kind of get going on things. They were hammering that, through the aggregate, putting 3 guys into Florida, that weekend in November. And they did have some results. Obviously Cortez Mills signed with them, but I think that they're going to have tremendous results giving Coach Simpson some time to kind of go down there and kind of get things going through his connection.
Yeah. Nebraska's, they've been saying Flobraska and Flora. They've said Florabraska, and there's been Calabraska and all these different, sort of movements that have had tags to them. But
Florabraska is really a thing. I go down to Tampa on occasion. There's literally a road right by USF campus that is Florabraska. And I don't know what it is. I've always meant to research that a little bit more, but it's right there by Busch Gardens. It's seriously right there. It's a road in the Tampa area. So I got to do a little bit more research on that.
So a guy like Ja'Cory Barney, and then or a Vincent Shavers or a Willis McGahee, those guys coming through, like how important are those guys to what Nebraska, it appears, is attempting to do in that area of the country?
Huge, significant, massive. I mean, that there's a real youth movement, and I think that all of them can, go back home during, after the bowl game, the holidays, the little bit of time they're going to have before they have to roll back to Lincoln, and have nothing but positive things to say about their experiences at Nebraska. Given the opportunity to get out there and show out, and if they were able to basically help the football team out, Matt Rule wasn't going to let the fact that they were true freshmen kind of get in the way of trying to improve what he's trying to do with the football team. So I think that that's the first part. I think the second part is like not having this snake oil kind of a situation, be exposed to where it can kind of then, ruin the barrel. I think that you've got real kind of word of mouth, positive experiences that when you get those guys to go back, continue to have their personal relationships with their coaches, with their former players, with other players that they played against, it even is going to kind of continue to manifest itself because those guys know players that they, competed against or competed with that went to other schools that could be in the situation, a year or two down the line where they have to go ahead and make a move because things aren't working out the way that they had kind of planned. And there's a way for this stuff to kind of all reciprocate later on down the line. So it's really kind of wild when you think about that stuff, like how things kind of came back around with Nowerney, when things started to change even a little bit more in Nebraska. I know that you had Nebraska as a finalist, but you add something to the coaching staff, build the facilities. Now all of a sudden you have this kind of more of a base of players from South Florida. It's not a group that's, like under Frost joins for a semester and then they all take off and they move home in the middle of the night. It's nothing like that. This seems to be a very kind of consistent cornerstone that they can kind of build around now, and Philip Simpson will keep adding guys to it.
Yep. Bryan Munson of Husker Online is with us. Okay. So, I mean, you mentioned Nowerney, who's, a huge addition for Nebraska. If they can get him going in the right direction, we'll see what he's able to give him next year, but obviously a high ceiling player. But it brings up the portal in general right now, as you mentioned, sort of at the top of this interview. What is going on out there right now, basically with the transfer? I mean, it's crazy to watch, and we say this every year. It's not healthy. It doesn't seem good, but it always feels like there's a variable that makes it change. And this year, the variable that makes it really, really different is the roster cuts around college football that are having to happen.
Oh,
what in the world does this thing look like behind the scenes right now?
Oh, it's nuts. I mean, first of all, I don't think we've really seen the bottom of it yet. There'll be continuing to be a flow of names into it. It's one of those things too. It's like where you can, if you read Tunnel Talk today, you kind of got also the impression of the guys that were, being told that they were part of the 85 and the profit sharing versus the guys that would not get any profit sharing and would just have NIL, and that's big money.
Yeah.
That's kind of where the roster management is going to be something to kind of watch kind of moving forward and how they kind of share that 14 million or whatever it is from a salary cap, kind of thing with their roster. It's going to be very interesting to see how they kind of divvy that out. That being said, I mean, it's also put a lot more money, basically into the pockets of the people that can kind of pay the players. And so the collectives have more cash. It's driven up the market, and we've seen it already with several players, particularly early targeted linebackers. And kind of, to where Nebraska's had to kind of tap out on some circumstances with some guys that they had offered, because other people come back and they make a larger offer, and Nebraska just says, I don't have, it's not worth that. You're a great player. It's not worth that to me. So there are some other things that are kind of working in that space as well that are very interesting. You have, I thought the one thing that was so amazing that I watched earlier, either this week or late last week, was when Jay Norvell, out there at Colorado State, kind of got on the podium and started talking about the tampering that's taking place between the agents, between as a third party between the other schools, and kind of doing this silent bid, silent auction kind of thing, and then approaching the players about how much more money they can make, but then also like the highway robbery that's happening in that space too, between those street agents and the players and the collectives, because they're not charging the standard 1% to 3%, but like the NFL, player association would kind of charge. They're getting 10, 15, 20%. So when these kids are going from $50,000 to $150,000, well, they're handing back over $30,000 of it to the street agent that puts the extra $80,000 or whatever in their pocket. It's really concerning when you get down to that kind of like that greediness, that greedy type dirty side of all of it. So that part to me, I think it's obviously in play. And I mean, they've had multiple players, talk about it at Colorado State. I think a Nebraska player came out and said it happened to him. I had several unofficial reports from people that were telling me that it was happening to all of the younger players at Nebraska. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to kind of see how this thing kind of works going forward.
Yeah. I mean, the portal, it can work out differently for, I mean, it just depends on situation, right? All of a sudden, a guy goes into the portal, and this isn't anybody in particular, although it might fit one or two on Nebraska's roster, but like a guy goes into the portal, maybe he doesn't have the true intention of transferring, and then all of a sudden he realizes, oh my God, my market is, pretty significant here. I have some opportunities, and so now the player owes it to themselves to sort of take advantage of those opportunities and look into them. And maybe they never even really were actually thinking about transferring in the first place.
Like the Nate Borkacher is a tremendous example.
Yeah, right.
I mean, walk-on guy at Nebraska, content with what he has, gets approached by a bag man. Several programs obviously very interested in an experienced tight end. And I think that, as you kind of go back and review, when Holgerson took over calling the Nebraska offense, probably one of the players that shined the brightest might have been Borkacher, and it's not that he had like a huge season. It was just like when he got a chance to get the ball in those spaces, he did the most with them. So you kind of saw maybe what that tight end, and it maybe is another reason why, like Nebraska and Bearteni kind of went ahead and went separate ways, because you don't need 265-pound tight ends. You really need those guys that are the 6'4", 225 guys that are a little bit more, quicker in that space. So, when you have Harburg and you have Carter Nelson and you have Fedoni and, you have some dudes that look like that, but you didn't bring anybody else in necessarily in this class. So it is a situation obviously to kind of keep an eye on, but like Borkature definitely fits the scenario that you were kind of running down right there.
Yeah, it's wild out there at the moment. We'll see if things sort of normalize over the next couple of weeks, but my guess would be probably not.
Don't count on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on it. Munson, enjoy your weekend, my friend. We will talk to you next week.
Sounds good, buddy. See you.
It's Bryan Munson, HuskerOnline.com. Yeah, the Borkature, and he was. I guess I don't know what his intention was. I don't want to put him in that. I don't know what his intention was at first. Entering the transfer portal, but I don't know what we know at Nebraska and what we've seen. Like, we like Nate Borkature, and I would have put him in the category. Remember, we were doing the transfer portal like tiers, like the descriptors, the tags.
I remember.
Right? Like Justin Evans, I said about Justin Evans, I said he's not in the portal. I was like, whoa, I really want to keep that guy, and I probably value him pretty high, but I don't know how anyone else could see it. I don't know if anybody else is out there looking like, oh, we really need like Justin Evans. And I would put Borkature in that same category. It's like, I want to keep Nate Borkature. I feel like he's pretty important, but nothing about the stats are, or the tape or whatever is like, whoa, we got to go out and get this guy. Obviously, the experience is significant, but that doesn't always mean everything. That doesn't. I don't know. He's well-rounded. He's a good player, and he goes into the transfer portal, and maybe he intended for this to happen, or maybe he didn't. But all of a sudden, he's sitting in there with a bunch of really nice offers from really nice places. And it's just like, wow. Wow.
I have what people are looking for. I didn't know.
But does he? Rick, I don't want to be like, I don't want to say, oh, well, overpaid, because everybody's overpaid. But people are not, like, people who are going into the transfer portal are realizing that it's like, I can get overpaid.
Who among us would not like to be overpaid?
I have this opportunity to go play college, and especially if you're Borkature, who's a former walk-on, and probably didn't expect this out of his college experience. Like, he goes into the portal, and all of a sudden he could go pretty much anywhere he wants.
Never got courted the first time. Nice to feel needed and wanted.
And he's going to get, a pretty good payday on the backside of this thing. Take advantage of your opportunity while you have it. I could never say like, wow, how dare you for doing that? Good for him.
Yeah.
But it is
thrilled.
It's a wild thing to think about. So Tim Beck had a quote, and he was like,
the coordinator.
And I think the former coordinator, he's now the Coastal Carolina coach. He said, you're not building a program anymore. This isn't a program. Each year you just build a team. Totally.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right.
I'd have a beer with that guy.
So what does that say about Matt Rule and the way he wanted to do this? Gone.
It changed.
Gone.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, almost completely gone. Almost completely gone. You could have a core. You could have guys that you're going to develop, like guys that are going to be here for a long time. Think like Creighton basketball. They have a core. They have guys that they know that they can lean on, they can depend on.
But they're always tinkering.
They're always going into the portal to find the next guy available, but he's got to fit in these certain things. So it's just really difficult.
It's a nice piece. Go get me that piece.
Very difficult. And yeah, you're filling holes as well. Nebraska's filling plenty of those at the moment. All right, let's take a break. More on this and some coaching moves this week with Brian Christopherson of Husker 247 coming up. Don't forget, just a little more than a half hour until Creighton volleyball coming up at noon. I'm very excited. In fact, I even turned on ESPN2 a half hour early to watch Cam Newton in his big hat talk on First Take.
Bring your
Stephen
big
A.
hat.
Smith does not seem amused.
He does not. No. That is a big hat.
What is going on with Cam Newton? He's looked like this for like the last 7 to 10 years now.
Sure.
But he loves the big hat with the feather and the most obnoxious colored things that you could possibly have.
A lot of neck accessories as well.
Yes. Bow ties.
Ascots.
Yeah, it's not like chains or anything like that.
No.
It's like I'm gonna pop my collar and wear a bow tie and a sweater and a gigantic hat.
He looks warm.
Is that something? And everyone's like, no, that's not
No.
anything.
Okay, I'll do it.
He's like, all right, I am style. BC joins us next on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Brian. Brian Christopherson.
I gotta take this. It's Hap.
B. Rooney drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. More here on a Friday on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Brian Christopherson, Husker 247, joins us now. BC, hello. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good. I do want to talk about the big basketball game tonight over at Pinnacle Bank Arena in just a couple minutes. Let's do football first. I was reading your story and I noticed sort of the same thing in the recap from Rule's press conference the other day, and how he kind of kept saying, like, this is fun for me. This meaning this week, this month, the whole management of the, putting the pieces in different places. They've had a lot on their plate, Rule and his staff, that it's been static there for a little while. That has been there. I found that interesting, his sort of approach, and it felt like, maybe he wouldn't have been that way because we sort of categorize him as like a football guy who likes to coach football, but definitely a tinkerer as well.
Yeah, I think it's really the only attitude you can have probably in his role now if you're going to be successful going forward. You can't be someone who is just like wastes his, any minutes with like, I don't like this process. I don't like what college football has become. It does you no use. You just have to, this is what's in front of you. And as he said, there's some guys, if you just want to be frank about it, they need to leave. There's those cases too.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes people see, oh, this guy went into the portal from Nebraska, and it adds up and there's like 20 in there suddenly. Well, the math tells us that had to be the case. There's a few guys in there where I think I can understand where people were concerned initially, or there's sort of that look at the D line and like, okay, they're going to have to rebuild this. But I think what Rule wanted to stress is he feels like with the model as it is, when you look at what 1890 has done, in building up their operation, and then you combine that with revenue sharing, which Nebraska feels very prepped for. I think that he just believes the Huskers have the goods to go head to head with the big boys, for some big targets out there. And so I think we'll see that play out. We already kind of did yesterday with the 5-star D lineman, popping in saying he's coming to Nebraska. So we kind of had that first phase where it's all the negative parts, where guys are leaving and stuff like that. But I like that he stressed that even those aren't all negative. I mean, it's not always just like the person hates the program or whatever. Sometimes there's just a lot of money in front of guys, and you can understand where if your kid had an opportunity from this school over here to make this much more money for one season, you might want to maximize that. So I think we just have to always remember that whenever we see names pop in, and understand, there's a monetary part of this that a lot of us would take a look at as well on some cases.
Not everything is going to be even all the way across the board, just when you look at other programs out there, but generally a lot of teams in Nebraska's realm are sort of operating on the same plane. I try to take myself back to some of the conversations we were having when NIL went into play, and now with revenue sharing as well. And I think, well, the organization piece is still really, really important here. And the having a plan piece is really important, even though that's changed even since Rule's been here. I guess how do you feel like Nebraska is positioned, given all of the changes and how different it might look even than 2 years ago when Rule got here, their adjustment to that and now their implementation of what it's going to be going forward?
I get the sense they're pretty well prepped, probably as much so as most people are. And a big part of it is doing your homework. And like, I think he mentioned, like, there's been some calls in Nebraska where there's certain people might be extending offers to kids where they really haven't done a lot of homework on that player at all. It's just sort of like people, flying by the seat of their pants sort of thing. You don't want to be in that realm. You want to feel like you're making really smart decisions. You've targeted kids not because they were a 4-star in the 2023 class or something like this, but because you saw something at what they've done in college or that you know about them that they can excel now, and not for what they were as a prospect, 2 or 3 years ago. And then I think you also have to look everywhere. I mean, they hit like Nebraska's bringing in Cameron Olds, sounds like, as a edge rusher, and he's a kid that I think is going to be an interesting prospect. But you're not just looking at all power conference guys. You want to have a wide reach here, and I feel like they think they've done some good research on guys, and as he said yesterday, you have to be smart about all your decisions in this process. Just because you feel like you have some money to work with that can be competitive, you can't just throw it in the wrong places either, because there are going to be some programs who fail because they do that.
BC, how do you feel about the way that the setup, I suppose, of the defensive coaching staff and the way, I don't know exactly, all the details and how it works, but with Butler as the defensive coordinator, with Phil Snow in the mix, and then obviously new coaches at a couple different positions as well. At really all 3 levels, you're going to end up having a new coach in the defensive backfield as well. How do you feel like the way this? How do you feel about the way this came together over the last couple weeks with their defensive staff?
I feel okay about it. Now, I mean, they got to go prove it and stuff like that. I think Rule laid out some good points, yesterday about, they're in a good spot, but there's areas where you can excel and be better. Like on third down defense, they were not always elite in some big moments. Now I know they held Iowa to 0 of 10 on third down, but we saw games against some teams that were more of a pass threat where it felt like the Huskers couldn't always get off the field in some key moments. And so you heard him talk yesterday about like some of the ideas Phil Snow might bring there, like, as far as like basically telling him like, look, you're really a tough outfit to deal with on that side of the ball in first and second downs, but there's room to grow on third down with some of the advanced coverages and the blitz scheme or whatever you want to talk about that you could do there. And John Butler, I know the Phil Snow thing wasn't official yesterday, but he did mention him by name, and it seemed like he was excited to have him as a sounding board. And so I think John Butler thinks he's cut out for this, always has been. As he said, a year ago, he made no bones about it. He wanted the Buffalo Bills DC job, and it sounded like it was pretty close to maybe happening for him. And so I think I said on your show last week, I know there's some people who felt like there was some pieces that weren't quite what they thought they might be in the secondary this past season. But I also believe, like, if you look at the totality of John Butler's resume as a coach, most people, especially if, in the off season, this had come up last off season that he might be the guy, I think people would have been pretty excited about it and talked themselves into it pretty quickly. So I very much have an open mind about it. And I think when you lay it out, that on your staff you have, Holgerson, Butler, Snow, it seems like. Those 3 guys that have done a lot of things and have a lot of, things on their wall from their football coaching days. So I think you got to at least think that that's not bad at first glance.
Starting to bring in visitors from the transfer portal this weekend. You mentioned Cameron Olds. Of course, Nebraska has a commitment already from Nwaneri from Missouri, which is I think a pretty big deal for them. I guess what else are we on the watch for in terms of players? It's going to be kind of a lot happening all at once, I think, over the next couple weekends before they really focus their attention and energy on the bowl game. But what are we sort of watching for this weekend?
Well, Olds is a really interesting one. I think everybody knows that they're kicking the tires on different wide receivers. They've seen various names out there that are expected to pop in there. So you would think there's going to be few there. Special teams, I think, I'd watch the punter that's coming in, a long snapper. I think he's from New Hampshire, if I'm remembering off the top of my head. Obviously 2 spots that I would think you want to nail down. So I keep an eye on that. I don't know about this weekend, but I do think there is room to add a big tackle or something on the O-line. I think that's a possibility. And when you talk about protecting your sort of franchise QB, right? You would think maybe that would be where you would want to put some resources toward if you think about like a left tackle or something like that. So I definitely am keeping my eyes out for that. That's not necessarily this weekend, but that's something that's on my radar. And then they have looked at a linebacker or two. And some of those visits fell through this week because, I think Omar Graham was going to come from Florida State and he ended up staying there. But I think that shows that there's an interest in that position. And if you look at the depth chart, they did lose a really good player in John Bullock to graduation. And Stephon Thompson was a guy giving them reps in November at that spot. So I know they like Shavers a lot and some of the young talent, but I could see where you might want a couple third, fourth year guys maybe to go along with that.
A big game tonight, BC at PBA. Nebraska needs a bounce back very, very badly against Indiana. I've been asking people all this week how important this game is. So I'll ask you the same thing. Like, how big is the game tonight for Nebraska basketball, and sort of what are you expecting out of them after a poor performance last weekend?
Yeah, I go back to when the schedule first came out, and you think about what puts you in a happy place, but for the holidays, right? When you're going to Hawaii and into the conference season. I looked at that week where they played St. Mary's and Creighton. I said, you got to split there. And then I look at the 2 Big Ten games that they make teams play in early December, and you say, you got to get at least a split there. Not that you can't bounce back for it, but it's very tough to sit on, especially in this case where they've got this break where they don't play again until they're on the island and December 22nd. So this would be a tough taste in your mouth if you don't go play well. They really feel like the Michigan State game where you lose by 37. They thought that was just a really bad day and an outlier. Now you heard Fred Hoiberg say, I saw warning signs for whatever reason. Just a couple days of prep weren't what they needed to be. It seems like they think they got that in order this week, and it was more to their liking. He likes this squad and how they can take tough criticism and all that, but they got to come out like they did against Creighton. They played that. I know CU didn't play their best game, but I think a lot of things Nebraska did influence that.
Definitely.
And Nebraska has to play with their hair on fire, as linebacker coaches might say, for this game, tonight for 40 minutes. And you got to show too that you're that squad that can protect your gym again. I mean, last year's team was so dynamic about that. They fed off the crowd fed off them. It was this give and take relationship. And so we'll see if they can start that up again.
Nebraska hasn't lost a game at Pinnacle Bank Arena since last year's Creighton game, and then a conference game at home since February 28th, 2023.
Who was it against?
Michigan State.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Michigan State. I was thinking I remember on Michigan. That was earlier in that year. Blitzed them pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be an interesting night in Lincoln because you've got obviously big volleyball match across the road, and I still think they'll draw big at PBA. It's on Fox, which is strange to me, like 7 p.m. game on Fox and hoops, but that's cool. So it's an opportunity, and they got to view it as such. And you got to remember, Indiana, I know they've changed their roster around, but Nebraska embarrassed them 3 times last year. So don't think that's not on their mind too. I mean, remember that game at the Big Ten tournament, and you just went on a roll there at the end of the half and beat them by about 30. Mike Woodson got ejected. So I'm sure this one's a little personal on their end too. So that's why Nebraska's got to bring the intensity.
All right, BC, enjoy your weekend. Thanks for joining. Talk to you soon.
Yep, thanks a lot.
Brian Christopherson, Husker 247. You can check out all the latest portal stuff and thoughts from there. By the way, tonight at PBA, we were wondering who is going to do the game. Fox.
Who's calling?
Brandon Gaudin and LaFonso Ellis.
My man, BG.
Your man, BG?
My man.
You're a BG guy?
I am. He calls the Braves games on FanDuel Sports Network.
Does he? He's the voice of the Braves?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. He's also the voice of Madden, or at least he has been.
Oh, really?
Recently, I didn't get Madden this year, but he's been the voice of Madden for a couple of years, I think. There you go, your guy, BG.
Wow,
exciting. That's on Big Fox tonight, and then across. So what's the street? So there's the bridge, which is Antelope Parkway, right? Antelope. But what's the street that runs around Pinnacle? Is it Salt? Something to do with salt?
I'm not the person for this question.
I am.
I know.
And I'm just speaking out loud
at
the moment. So the street that runs right back behind Pinnacle Bank, Salt Creek Roadway, right? Salt Creek Roadway.
Sure. Yeah, you were on it.
It's like it's Pinnacle Bank Arena Drive, and then it turns into Salt Creek Roadway. So you go up Salt Creek Roadway and you turn on Antelope Valley Parkway, and then you'll be at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. And so keep this in mind as well. I believe I was told this. Josh, the internet would confirm it. I haven't looked it up. I believe there is a Lincoln Stars game tonight at the Ice Box.
Oh my God, what a terrible idea.
Oh no, disaster. Yeah. And that's not totally uncommon for Nebraska volleyball home nights, but we're talking huge crowd tonight at the Devaney Center. Big Icebox game.
That's right. Tri-City Storm in town tonight for a 3-game set.
And
2-game set, and then they play again on the 28th.
And then the festivities down at Pinnacle Bank Arena as well.
Big,
so if you're if you're trying to double dip tonight, you're thinking, all right, Texas A&M and Wisconsin, you just go ahead and duke it out as long as you want. Fire away. Because then you can make it to the Nebraska ball game, and then I don't know, maybe get a golf cart service ready and take you right up the road and get you there by Nebraska Dayton first serve. It's doable, but you're going to need some help from Trev.
From Trev?
Yeah, Texas A&M, right? Thank you, Doc. Salt Creek. Jeff Wright saying, note to self, don't drive downtown. No. Not tonight.
Not even a little bit.
Tonight. Don't drive into either of our cities' downtowns. Bad times.
They're terrible.
Bad times wherever you're going. All right. We'll take a break. Back after this with the odd news on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
All right, indeed, it is time for the odd news. I can't wait to get to noon. Waiting all day for a noon first serve.
Are you more excited for the volleyball or the pizza?
The volleyball.
Okay.
The volleyball. I'm not quite hungry yet, although I do love and miss lunch.
That's right.
Remember when I used to have lunch?
Jurickson Profar was the player.
Oh, I'd be interested in Jurickson Profar.
Okay.
I'd take a little Jurickson Profar. A great year last year.
Career best season. Braves are interested.
All right. He can play a lot of positions.
Mm-hmm. They need a left fielder.
Yep.
He knows Ozzy Albies.
Okay. There's a connection. That's good. All right. What do we got, Josh?
We got football, Connor. It's football season.
Football's not odd. Football's normal.
Well, it being racist is a little odd. As last night on Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime, the 49ers were without star left tackle Trent Williams. I know a lot of you people know this because you watched this barn burner of a 12-6 football game.
No touchdowns.
With no touchdowns. America couldn't look away from this game. But allow me to tell you that Prime Video had a regrettable sideline moment when they showed a man in street clothes walking the sidelines for the 49ers and plastered a graphic underneath him with Trent Williams' stat line and talked about how Trent Williams is a valuable commodity for the San Francisco 49ers, only that black man in the photo was not Trent Williams. Kirk Herbstreit didn't seem to notice. And all that implies.
Well, sometimes Kirk's not watching the monitor.
I'm going to guess that's what happened. It is not as simple as Kirk Herbstreit definitely thought that was Trent Williams.
Although in the TV broadcast, they give him pretty giant monitors. If I was doing one of those big time TV broadcasts, I probably wouldn't even watch out the window. I would just watch the monitor.
Now, here, I always find, not to go back to WWE again, but I always find it weird that it's such a television product that the person who is literally 5 feet away from the wrestling ring doing the play-by-play is never looking in the wrestling ring. They're always looking at the monitor. But Kirk Herbstreit said, there's Trent Williams, who's a big part of the grit of that offensive line, and they really miss him up front.
Not Trent Williams.
Not Trent Williams. They found Trent Williams in a suite in the third quarter.
So who was the guy?
Great question. The player pictured was Nesta Jade Silvera, a second-year defensive tackle who was on the Niners practice squad.
Got it. Awesome.
Not a great look on or off the field yesterday.
No.
I don't. It's funny. Like I'm not.
You just
about
better
this.
know before you put him on camera and put the lower third on there. That's all.
Connor, this will interest us both, this story. We go to Utah, Midvale, Utah, where they just elected a new mayor.
All right.
As I've dabbled in mayoral campaigns. They had a tie among many, many people.
Wow.
For the position of mayor. So they did a round robin coin toss tournament.
Awesome.
Midvale Mayor Marcus Stevenson stepped down from his position in November. They had 11 applicants, 2 of whom were sitting city council members, and 3-way round robin tournament. The first to 2 wins decided who was the mayor.
Wait, so they had a 3-way tie?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 people got 2 votes.
Gotcha.
And tied for most votes. And they did a 3-way round robin tournament
with coin flips.
And
who won?
Dustin Gettle.
Dustin, congratulations.
New mayor of Midvale, Utah.
Hopefully you didn't elect a guy who's going to do Icetown. Nice work, Icetown.
Good reference. I like that way to decide a mayor.
Yeah, me too. Coin flips.
Finally, This is a little risque. If you got the kids in the car, you might want to give them the earmuffs or tell them that it's okay. Those crazy guys on the radio are just being crazy. O.J. Simpson memorabilia is at a fever pitch.
Is it a bent Pokemon card?
It is not.
All
Some
right.
would say it's better.
Okay.
Malcolm Laverne, Simpson's longtime attorney and executor of his estate, is still trying to pay the Goldman family for things. And in order to do that, he's had to find interesting things that were in OJ's possession.
Yeah.
So Malcolm, the attorney, is auctioning off OJ's prison porn stash.
Cool.
Magazines like, you know the magazines that it could possibly be. I don't need to read them to you.
Yeah.
Malcolm spills that Simpson was a huge fan of that particular genre, both watching and reading it, even while incarcerated. How he got his hands on that stack of magazines
Pretty easy.
Is unclear.
He's O.J. Simpson.
Well, yeah.
And he's in jail.
Hey, get me blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people are probably screaming at the radios right now, hey, OJ did not die in prison.
No.
Why does someone still have his prison stash of
They're just trying to find
magazines?
stuff.
Yeah. After his release, we're told he stashed away the magazines because he had access. He no longer needed them, so he put them in a closet somewhere.
Still waiting for that secret note with a confession on it.
That's right. Allegedly, the lawyer, it has become to be believed that the lawyer has a case of unopened prophylactics that belong to OJ that could potentially be on the auction block later, but no details on that.
That's stupid.
Mm-hmm. We're trying to cobble together $33.5 million.
Wow.
And
that's still what he owes.
That's still what he owes. We're
gonna be tough.
There. Yeah.
Gonna be tough.
I don't know if that stack of nudie mags is going to get you to 33.5 mil. Yeah.
By the way, Josh, do you have any comment on Austin Butler?
He's going to play Patrick Bateman.
Still being Elvis, but now being Patrick Bateman.
Patrick Bateman.
And there's an American Psycho remake that is in the works apparently, and Austin Butler.
I can't stop being Elvis.
He's gonna play Patrick Bateman.
I can't wait until he gets into his I can't stop hacking up prostitutes or making business cards.
I can't stop playing Huey Lewis in the news. Huey Lewis.
I want a new drug.
Great movie.
That's your Austin Butler update.
I'm actually looking forward to Austin Butler playing this role.
I like when he does stuff.
Yeah.
We can do jokes like that.
I think American Psycho is awesome. I watch it every time it's on, and I love that
That's
movie.
a weird fit for you, I think.
It's a great. I love that movie. It's hilarious. It's a great movie, and so I'm looking forward to see what Austin Butler has got to offer us. Wonder who else will be cast in that movie. All right, thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That is the odd news. We'll come back with the noon hour. Plenty to cover, including we'll have a conversation with our dear friend Steve Sipple. We also got volleyball right after Snoop Dogg gets off my screen on 1620 The Zone.
He does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Noon hour, the Connor Happer Show. You're on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer and Josh Odson with you. Still Cam Newton in his big hat on my screen and not Creighton Volleyball.
Yeah, they're 30 seconds over.
Get out of there. Get out of there.
Wrap it up, Molly.
Take me to Happy Valley.
Be a pro.
For Creighton in Texas, which is coming up in just a second. I was thinking about it during the break, by the way, Josh, here we go. I was thinking about it during the break I don't think Christian Bale has ever missed for me.
Okay.
I was just thinking about all the Christian Bale roles and movies that I've seen with Christian Bale, and I don't think he's missed.
And I'm guessing you haven't gone terribly deep into his filmography.
All right, so Christian Bale movies that I have seen. I'm just going in order from most recent to backwards.
Okay.
Ford versus Ferrari.
That was a very good movie.
Loved that movie.
He did one before that, Amsterdam. That was a miss.
Vice.
That was good. That was very good.
I liked him in Vice. Mm-hmm. He was Dick Cheney.
He was.
American Hustle. Did I ever see American Hustle? What's American Hustle about?
American Hustle was fine. They were selling some stuff, right?
They were selling some stuff. Oh, The Big Short.
Good recap.
The Big Short.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. They were awesome.
Selling some stuff.
He was awesome in The Big Short. He was like, trust me, I'm a genius the entire movie. And you kind of believe him because he's got this certain way about him.
That's right.
Dark Knight Rises.
Definitely.
Fantastic.
I like that on IMDb it says he played Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Yeah. Two different people. No spoilers. Dark Knight, yes. Batman Begins, yes.
Well, hold on.
What?
You missed many in between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, not for me.
You have not seen The Dark Knight?
I said The Dark Knight.
Oh, you did?
I said The Dark Knight, yeah.
Okay. Have you seen The Fighter?
I've not seen The Fighter.
That's a very good one.
Is that the one with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, boxing.
Nope, never seen that. Never seen that.
3:10 to Yuma, very good if you like westerns.
Yeah, I may have thought about watching that once.
The Prestige, very good if you like Christopher Nolan movies and or magic.
The Prestige. What's going on in that?
Him and Hugh Jackman play dueling magicians.
All right. I like magic.
Yeah.
I like magic movies.
I got the magic in me.
American Psycho, 2000.
Banger.
There's a few more on here, of course, that I haven't seen.
He was in Shaft.
I've seen probably 10% of Christian Bale movies,
You've
and
hit
I like
a lot of the high notes.
I like them all.
Newsies? Have you seen Newsies?
No.
Okay.
Never even heard of Newsies.
It's a Disney movie from 1992.
No.
A musical based on the New York City
musicals.
Newsboy strike of 1899.
I like musicals. I was in musicals.
Okay.
I've been in musicals.
You're literally of musicals.
Yeah.
Could I interest you in a Christian Bale musical with former President of the United States Bill Pullman and Robert Duvall?
Absolutely. You could.
I'm sure it's on Disney Plus.
Yes, absolutely you could. And that's my take on Christian Bale. That guy rules.
Those are good solid takes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Also, for you, not a lot in there that like, oh, you haven't seen blah blah blah.
Thank you. Which
I really try not to do to people.
I hit the major ones, but honestly, Josh, you have permission to do that with me because I've done this a lot.
I will tell you, The Fighter and The Prestige are probably worth your time.
All right, here we go. We're underway.
Volleyball?
We are not disseminating, but if we hear noise,
I'm gonna grunt the game.
If you hear noises like that, Kiara Reinhart with the solo stuff right off
disseminating.
Yeah, that was after.
Oh, okay.
There's a pizza party upstairs, so we're gonna go upstairs and get pizza.
Normally, our pizza runner, our food runner, is here for us.
Currently, she's hugging dolphins.
Yeah. Literally. Not the Miami Dolphins.
What the heck is going on over there? All right. Anyway, here we are. Welcome back. We have a big weekend coming up. Josh, I did though want to take a look back, and I'm glad you remembered this because
I stumbled upon it while looking for something else.
Sometimes we make predictions on this show, and they just fly off into the. But we try to be transparent and we try to be accountable because it's the year of both of those things.
Always is.
And so, for really the final month before the college football season starts, everyone is making predictions. Oh, everybody's making predictions about a variety of different things. And we are with them. We make predictions about Nebraska football. I believe ultimately I picked Nebraska to go 8-4 this year.
I said 7-5.
Yeah. Both wrong. They went 6-6.
One closer
but you
than
could
the other.
You could get your 7 though.
I could.
But you won't get your 5. But you won't get your 5. They already have more than 5. Unfortunately. So there's that. But we also had prediction week, and this was the week after I came back from my paternity leave.
That's right.
So I don't know where my mind was at, but we're about to find out, I guess.
Not on football.
Josh,
couldn't have been.
Were we right about anything that happened this year?
I actually don't know a lot of the results of this.
Well, you
so
tell me, and I got the answer key right in front of me.
The biggest one we did was probably how many one-score games will Nebraska play in and win?
How many one-score games will Nebraska play in and win? The answer, they played in 1, so 8 or less, right? That's a one-score game? 8 or less?
Correct, yes.
1 against Illinois. 2 against Rutgers. 3 against Ohio State. 4 against UCLA. 5 against USC. 6 against Iowa. They won a grand total of 1 of those games. 1-5, Josh, in one-score games. What did I say?
You said 5 one-score games, and Nebraska will win 2 of them.
All right, so off by 1 on both.
I said there would be 6 one-score games, and Nebraska will win 3 of them.
Idiot. How could you ever say that?
I know. Why did I believe? Now, we also did a bonus category. Which games will be the one-score games?
Oh, fun.
Okay. We ultimately guessed 6 of them.
All right.
Illinois.
Check.
Indiana.
Not a one-score game. People forget.
That's right.
It's 49-50. Let's go.
USC.
A one-score game.
Rutgers.
A one-score game.
Wisconsin.
Not a one-score game.
Iowa.
A one-score game. That is a layup. That should that's like the free space on the bingo card. Is Iowa going to be a one-score game this year? Yes. Let's go. Get some, Texas. 8-3 Jays right out of the gate, by the way.
The next question we
asked.
This
is beautiful. What if Creighton just smoked Texas? I would be so happy.
What will Nebraska's run-pass ratio be this season?
Okay, that would take me a second.
Okay.
To find the answer. Or is it sack adjusted? Do you need the sack adjusted total? Probably not.
I have nothing in here about sack adjusted.
All right. So Nebraska passed the ball. I'm only saying this out loud to try and help me do the math. Nebraska passed the ball 404 times this year. Nebraska ran the ball 408 times this year. So it's 50-50.
Wow.
It was 50-50.
Okay. Well, I don't know how fun that makes this.
Sack adjusted is Dylan Raiola took oh boy, how many sacks? I'd have to find the sack allowed stats. But
you said they would run the ball 48.6% of the time and pass it 51.4% of the time.
Pretty good. Pretty close.
You closer than me. I said 55-45 in favor of the pass.
Okay. Let me find the sack allowed stats.
Oh my gosh, they pulled the game from the air because it was so bad.
Well, it was a commercial.
Oh, okay.
As a commercial.
Okay. I didn't know. Maybe I thought maybe Texas quit or something.
Where are the sacks allowed? 2024 sacks allowed. Nebraska. Ooh, Nebraska was sacked 27 times this year.
That sounds like a lot.
So you take away 27 runs and turn those into passes, and all of a sudden, Josh, that is pretty damn close to exactly what I said. Pretty damn close to exactly what I said. Okay, I'm going to give myself a point on that.
Yeah, I like that. Final question we asked: will Nebraska's defense?
This was it. This was all we had for prediction week.
Well, yeah,
we were this is embarrassing.
And then we did the Friday. What will the record be? Round table at Oscars.
Yeah, and we all said, 7-5, 8-4. I think we were all either 7-5 or 8.
Yeah. Will Nebraska's defense be better or worse than last year? You said better. I said worse.
It ended up being worse.
Point for me.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at that, but it ended up being worse. So, yeah.
That was the big conversation of the offseason before we became enamored with Nebraska's wide receivers. Was the defense good last year?
Is the defense good?
Because of the Big Ten West or because they're good?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, we never I haven't updated my spreadsheets in terms of like the turnovers and the sacks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Nebraska, remember we stopped about 6 games in. Nebraska was 5-1, right? It was the bye week. They were going into the Indiana game, but
we were flying high.
We were like, hey, they're on pace for like this is pretty serious stuff right now. Remember how the 40 sacks is 10 wins.
That's right. I've heard this.
And Nebraska was pacing for exactly 40 sacks after 6 games. They had 20 sacks.
And we said, why keep counting?
After 6 games. So in sacks, Nebraska only gathered 7 more sacks the rest of the year. They had 20 in the first 6 games, and they had 7 in the last 6.
Okay. Probably something you can glean from that.
That's not good.
No.
So they did not get 40 sacks.
They did not.
They got 13 less than 40, which is 27 sacks.
Is 27-40.
27 is not 40.
Damn it.
Not in the ballpark. I don't even think 36 is 40. 37, 38, and 39, they're 40.
Not for sacks.
But now, yeah. No, yeah, sacks is that's a difficult thing. And then turnovers.
Had to be less, right?
Well, I mean, they obviously had significantly less. Remember, Nebraska turned the ball over 31 times last year.
That's a lot.
It is. This year, they only lost 17, but they gained 16. So they were -1. And remember, they were -17 last year. Or -14 or -7, whatever it was.
I mean, I don't know how mad at that I can be.
They were saying, hey, we got to get to +5. They ended up at -1. Unfortunately, that -1 really hurts because that -1 was a bad one.
A big one. Yeah. No.
They were at even going into that play. And then Dylan Raiola fumbled the football. I guess you could still get a couple back if you have a nice day against Boston College, but I don't count that now. Right? So, is that a touch? No. 12-9 Creighton in the first set at the moment. Yeah, that last turnover hurt. Cost them a whole game and then cost you to be negative in the turnover margin. You would have been even and 7-5 had you have not turned the football over.
You would have been in a vastly different bowl game.
Yeah. Jeff writes in.
Hi, Jeff.
You're going to drive yourself crazy losing it over every point in a volleyball match, man. This is playoff volleyball. It's like playoff baseball. I did a big red overreaction this year during a Kansas City Royals playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the more difficult things that I have ever done.
Is this not a volleyball state? I was told this was a volleyball state.
Yeah, like these are my guys. I'm living and dying with this right now.
It's Texas.
It's Texas. Speaking of which, Happer's meme guy writes into the
Hi,
show.
Happer's meme guy.
Poll question. Don't do this as a poll question. It's too sportsy, but it's a good question. Big meteor matchup. Texas Creighton Volleyball or Iowa Missouri Music City Bowl?
Yeah.
It's Iowa Missouri Music City Bowl, right? Once again, football versus volleyball.
Yeah, I would get more joy out of the Music City Bowl being struck by a meteor. Yes, yes.
Right. If you were a diehard Husker fan.
Uh-huh.
If you were a diehard Husker fan. All right, Steve Sipple is going to join us here in just a few minutes. I also saw this, speaking of college football in the year that was, the most watched college football games of the year list is out from Sports Media Watch.
Hello.
The most watched college football game of the year was Georgia-Texas round 1.
Round 1?
No, Georgia-Texas SEC title game, actually.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Wow. And then Georgia-Texas round 1 was the second most.
Ooh, gross. But I get it also at the same time.
Over 16 million for the SEC title game, which is surprising to me. That was the most watched game of the year.
What would you
I don't know.
Counter with Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan?
Maybe. I mean, that game was kind of ugly.
Ohio State, Michigan?
No, the Georgia-Texas SEC title game.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it ended up being a good game, but once again, we talked about it going into it. How much does it really matter and all that stuff? The first Georgia-Texas, I would assume the first Georgia-Texas, like that game meant more. Anyway, those are the two most watched games of the year, 16.5 million and 13 million, respectively. Third most watched game of the year, still Michigan, Ohio State. Over 12 million for that. Georgia, Alabama. I think people like watching Georgia, it seems, Josh. What do you think ABC feels about their new TV deal after looking at this list? I'll keep going. Georgia, ABC, ESPN. Georgia, Alabama, the fourth most watched game of the year. Oregon, Penn State in the Big Ten championship game was the fifth most watched game of the year. Then Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Ohio State, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas A&M, Indiana, Ohio State, Texas, Michigan, USC, LSU. There's your first non-con game. Actually, Texas, Michigan. Georgia Tech, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU.
Georgia Tech, everyone had time to get to. Hey, you got to get to this game. It's going crazy. It's in like 1,100 overtime.
Yep, that ended up being like one of the most watched games of the year by the end of it. I have to see Georgia lose. Georgia is on the most watched games list, having played 13 games this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times.
Good thing nobody believes in them.
7 of the top 20 games, most watched games in college football this year were Georgia games, and 7 out of Georgia's 13 football games were among the most watched of the year. And I would imagine if you expanded this out to 50, every single Georgia game would be on there, with the exception of when they played like, Mercer or whatever. Sorry.
Chattanooga.
Sorry, Mercer. Yeah, the Citadel, whatever it is. People like watching Georgia, I suppose.
Well, they find themselves in close games all the time when they shouldn't.
I know. I don't really get it. It's not like this super exciting brand of football.
Yeah.
I don't know that any of those teams can really boast that at this moment with I don't know, maybe Oregon, but I guess brand really matters here. And then, Georgia's an interesting school in the first place. Georgia always had this opportunity to be a giant of the sport from a television brand perspective, because not only, do they have the ability to be one of the more successful football teams, it's in the South, it's in the SEC. It also takes over Atlanta. Atlanta's a gigantic market.
I like going to Georgia's website GeorgiaDogs.com and looking at their football schedule, because the logo they use to tell everyone that their game is on ABC is from, I don't know the year. You remember when Miami and Ohio State played in the national championship game?
02.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's that era of ABC Sports.
That's awesome.
That's the logo.
That's
that they have
my
on their
era.
website. Yeah,
I loved it.
yeah.
I mean, that's when it was great.
With the yellow score bug.
When college football games were at 1:00.
Willis McGahee was popping that knee out.
Yeah. Oh, that was not pretty.
It was not.
There was some Craig Krenzel involved.
Yeah, a lot of Craig Krenzel.
Jeff writes in.
Hi, Jeff.
I hate Texas, but hate Creighton more. Go Horns.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Imagine loving Nebraska football and saying those two words in succession.
Go Horns?
Monster.
That is nuts. I can't even begin to fathom that.
I told you that my child was watching College Game Day and he saw everyone doing the horns up or the horns down, and he asked me, Daddy, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And I told him, well, horns up is awful, and horns down is how those people counter that.
You do horns down to your friends.
My own son, my 5-year-old son, to troll me, like we'll do sign language a lot, and if you have the thumb out, it's I love you.
Oh no.
He'll real quick tuck that thumb back in and go,
oh no.
Horns up, Daddy.
That is a story that I hear more and more often. I became a blank fan because my dad told me not to.
Yes.
You just ran that risk, buddy.
Oh God, what a miserable existence I've signed him up for.
Oh, it sounds like more miserable for you.
I mean,
you just made a Texas fan
guess
in
it
your
was
own
kind
house.
Kind of on me, I guess.
Yeah, and you're gonna deal with it for like the next 15 years.
Should have been more careful.
John follows up on the text line.
Hi, John.
Piss off, Jeff. Creighton beating Texas would be awesome. Quit being an asshat.
I know a lot of the Husker fans are like, I want revenge against Texas in the national championship game.
Yeah.
Or they wouldn't meet in the national championship game.
They would be in the final.
Yeah.
Four. Mitchell writes in on Twitter.
Hi, Mitchell.
Based on Twitter, you would think Colorado games would be 1 through 10 on the top 10 list. Yeah, Colorado does not show up on any of the top 10s. Or on any of the top 10.
Not even the Nebraska Colorado game. What was that? 2 million, just under 2 million?
No, it was more than that.
Okay. Good.
It was better than that.
Good.
I think it was in the neighborhood of 5.
That's a lot more than 2.
Yeah. But in order to be on the top 20 so far this year, I mean, there's still the playoffs yet to come. Curious to see what happens with that, considering there's a couple games that are going directly up against the NFL. My guess is there's enough. About 7 million you need to get on the top 20. So Nebraska didn't have any 7 milli games.
6.3 watched. Yeah. Colorado, Nebraska.
So almost it's probably in the top like 25, maybe 30.
NBC was probably very happy with that game.
Probably not, because their biggest game. I mean, so back to the list here. NBC, who's frustrated about their TV deal with the Big Ten, only had one game on this list, and that was, of course, Ohio State and Oregon. So Nebraska, Colorado probably would have been their second best game of the year, and they had their B crew on it.
Big B. B for baby. Colt McCoy.
No, but
Horns down.
B for Burmeister.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. We love Paul Burmeister.
Hi, Paul. I know you're listening.
All right. Creighton leading Texas 19-14 in set number 1 in Happy Valley. We will keep you updated on that as we go on throughout the show. There's a lot. So they put a Terraflex court down. I heard Kirsten Bernthal Booth say yesterday that they must just play on the gym floor up there usually. So they had to get the Terraflex in for the NCAA tournament.
Why are you pretending like you don't have money, Penn State?
I don't understand whatsoever.
You have money.
But it's on this giant space, and there's a lot of room if somebody needs to go save one, behind the end lines. That's for sure. 20-15. Jays. All right, we'll be back. Steve Sipple will join us on the other side. Coming up on 1620 The Zone.
Steve Sipple,
The conversation gets even more uncomfortable, okay?
Omaha!
Steve Sipple on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, and we're joined now on the 42 Degrees of Source hotline by our dear friend Steve Sipple of HuskerOnline.com. Hi, Sipple. Happy Friday. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys doing?
You sound a lot better from the last time I heard you talk.
Oh, yeah. It's just like millions of Midwesterners or probably whoever, wherever, just got the crud.
Yeah, it's definitely going around, but I applaud you for just grinding it out. You're just, you're always there, which we appreciate.
Like a fungus. I'm always there.
Exactly. Hey, just saw that.
Exactly. Didn't have to be so agreeable on that.
Yeah, exactly like a fungus. I just describe myself the same way. I just saw that Sean Beckton is going to be on Scott Frost's remade staff at UCF.
Yeah. That's probably to be expected, right? Sean's from that area. I mean, he's a
UCF legend.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be other guys. I suspect Mike Dawson will be part of that staff. Do you remember Dawson?
I do.
What did he coach?
D-line originally, and then he left and came back, and he was linebackers or outside linebacker. Remember, because he was gone for a year.
No, I just thought of him as a D-line coach, but you're right. I think he did. There was some bit of change there, so he'll be with him. And I think Andrew Sims, who was like a director of football ops, I imagine he'll be there if he's not already there. I don't know of other names. I don't know anybody else. Steve Cooper, I think, will call the office.
That's right.
Not a name Nebraska fans are overly familiar with. He was on the staff here, but not one of the 10 main guys back in the day when there were 10 main assistants.
Yeah. All right. I was sort of watching for that one just to see what his staff was going to look like and how many familiar names might be on it. Definitely no surprise to see Beckton on it. Simple. Well, the portal is a moving, and we've now been, conditioned to all this stuff where nothing really surprises you particularly anymore. But has there been anything this week where you've thought, man, this is just crazy that we now live in this world, or are you just taking it instance by instance?
Oh, I mean, I'm kind of both.
Yeah.
It's just sort of I guess when you have unlimited free agency in that world, in that college football world, we're getting a good. I mean, this is what happens. There's a lot of money floating around that, everybody's just trying to grab it, and some things that might be, you would hope would be more important, like a commitment to a team or not. And it's not everybody. The thing I'd like to, I need to do more of is defending young people. There's plenty of young guys out there and young women that are dedicated to their team, and it's not just a cash grab, and they're not just thinking about themselves. There's a lot. I think probably more are like that than not, and more are like that than a lot of people are willing to admit. So I guess I don't like that we always focus on the kind of the negative part of it.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is, and it's, I don't know. The college game's still okay, but there's a lot of powers that be have to figure out pretty soon.
It's definitely different. And the key to all that is having a coach who, kind of, I don't know if Matt Rule, how would you describe Matt Rule's sort of disposition on this entire thing? Obviously he is an adapter, and I would consider Rule Sipple a part, kind of a chameleon. He goes with the flow, and whatever needs to be done sort of gets done. But I wouldn't necessarily say that he's fully embraced what has happened to the sport now, but he knows where he's got to go to adapt with the times. That's for sure. And this roster, like it's a big period of turnover for this team.
There's a lot of coaches that have to do soul searching, and they do it, and some of them do it right before our eyes. The Virginia basketball coach that resigned just couldn't deal with it. Right? He just didn't want to. What's his name, Connor?
What's whose name?
The Virginia basketball coach.
Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett resigned because he couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
Matt Rule chooses to deal with it, and no, he doesn't embrace it. He has said it. I'm not speaking out of turn here. He doesn't full on embrace all of it. He has adapt, like you said. Adapt is the key word. You can embrace it without. We have to do that. Everybody has to do that in this world, right? We have to embrace things we don't necessarily want to, just because we have to function. Now, if you have generational money, you don't have to embrace it. You can just walk away, which some people do. We've seen it a lot. I always think of college basketball coaches more in this conversation than football coaches, although there are football coaches as well. But no, Rule, I think his strength right now. I believe Matt Rule's strength is his willingness to adapt and be light and have his program be malleable and just do kind of what you have to do here as it gets worked out. So yeah, I think that's a strength. I think his two strengths, as I see him right now, are that and his communication ability.
How much different Sipple, do you think his approach to team building is now than when he got here 2 years ago?
Well, I think it's a really hard question. Because it's a hard question because things have changed quickly.
Yeah.
And you almost have to be with him all the time to know some of this stuff. I have to think his approach has changed. I mean, I think what you're referring to is he wanted to do this. He might still want to do it to a certain degree, build with younger players in a more traditional way, then supplement the roster with portal players, which I think you can still sort of do. I just think his way of operating has had to evolve, and it's evolving. It's evolving by the day, it seems like. So I just feel like sometimes you're just kind of doing. Someone in his position is just kind of doing what you have to do, and that's. But I think they're doing a pretty good job of it.
Steve Sipple's with us from Husker Online. One thing that you mentioned today in a piece of your tunnel talk is like just the uncomfortability of all of it. Like there's a pretty big shakeup inside the building, whether it's with assistant coaches or like we've been talking about for the last few minutes here, the general sort of approach to things. How do you see that affecting either Nebraska positively or negatively? As they sort of start in the process of finding what their 2025 team is going to look like.
Oh, I think what you're alluding to, what it always means to me is it comes down to the leader handling the stuff. And that's Rule. How does he handle it? And if there's strong leadership at the top, some of the stuff that occurs on his staff and even below that is okay. I mean, I always use the example of Osborne, and it gets old for people, but Charlie McBride and George Darlington. Those were, Charlie was a defensive coordinator and George was a secondary coach, and there was static there. There wasn't a great relationship. It was pretty well known. But when you have someone like Osborne leading the ship, you can make it work. You can kind of smooth out the rough edges, and you work in it. We all work in. I mean, all industries you have. It's not perfect, is it? It hardly ever is. But my experience is if there's strong leadership, then a lot of this stuff can get worked out to a level that allows the operation to achieve at a high level. My dog's giving me a death stare right now, so I don't know what's going on. I'm losing track.
It's wondering why the organization isn't achieving at the highest levels.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, if you have strong leadership, the rough edges at whatever entity we're talking about, they can be smoothed out to a degree that allows whatever entity it is to achieve. And I think that Rules, that's where he comes in. That's why those guys are paid a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
That's why CEOs are paid more than the lower level workers. They have to make it work. And as I've gone along in life, you have to make it work with people who don't get along that well. Because not everybody get along, and there's people that have agendas that are going to try to use those agendas to undercut people, and it's just all part of the world we're in. Again, though, you got to make it work, and that's what it comes down to, and that's why there are leaders. And I think Rule does a pretty good job, although he's 11-13. He doesn't want to be 11-13, Connor. I mean, that's not what 11-13. I get it. You could say, well, that's what he was at Temple and Baylor after 2 years. Yeah, I guess, but they were better than 6-6 this year.
Yeah.
So
that all leads to this is something we haven't quite talked about yet because the season's not completely over and you don't know what it's going to look like next year quite yet. But like, hey, there's some pressure, Sipple. Like they got to win. They got to win in 2025, I think for sure.
Yeah, there's pressure. I don't think he's on a hot seat.
No, it's different. Yeah.
But the stat that people don't talk about enough of that, and I need to talk about more, write about more, is they haven't finished strong in either season. I mean, going 1-4 and 0-5 down the stretch. I think that's what it was on 0-5 last year, 0-4 last year, right? Then 1-4 this year, or 1-5, whatever the hell it was. I mean, a program wants to be playing its best football late, no matter what kind of stage of development it's in. And that's the thing. That's probably the biggest issue I have with Rules program right now is that they weren't playing their best football late. I can't understand that completely.
All right, take care of Bullet. All right.
Yeah, Bullet's. I don't know if the cold's getting to him or what, but thank you. I appreciate it.
See you later, Sipple.
Yeah.
All right, that's Steve Sipple of HuskerOnline.com.
If they're cold, you're cold. Or if you're cold, they're cold.
It sounded like Sipple was inside.
Yeah.
I don't know. So Bullet's looking at him. He's all cute. He's like, hey, help me out here,
guy.
And Sipple's like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Couple things here. First, Malachi Coleman, still one of the transfer portal. He has arrived for a visit in Minnesota for this weekend. He says hashtag RTB. Rode a boat. Visiting the Twin Cities. Who's on the schedule next year? You bet.
Minnesota, October 18th.
Creighton Volleyball got 4-0 runned at the end of their first set. Looked like they were kind of like borderline in control. That's a strong phrase in volleyball when it's tight at the end, but like borderline in control and couldn't quite terminate to get you to 25. Lost 26-24 in set one and have a 7-4 lead in set two. Definitely a disappointing first set result.
We'll see about their emotional ability to bounce back.
I'll tell you what.
Can they flush it?
I got no doubts about that.
They haven't had a lot of adversity.
No, I know, but like just knowing them, I have no concerns about that.
The team was built for this right here.
Yeah. I mean, they were down 2-0 in Nebraska and pushed them nearly to win the damn thing.
Yeah.
You know, like there's that piece. And they're old and they're experienced, like not worried about that piece. Just finishing it off. 9-4 now. All right, we'll take a break. We'll round at the hour. Coming back on 1620 The Zone. All right, so we're of course the home of Creighton Athletics here on 1620 The Zone and the NRG Media family of stations. And it just so happens that our director of sales is a very big Creighton volleyball fan, goes to all the games.
All of them.
And she decided to throw a pizza party. Stacy did.
Thanks, Stacy.
And so I went up and grabbed some plates of pizza during the break. And you had previously put in your order, and I separately put in my order. And very nicely, Stacy had the plates all set up for us and ready for me to deliver back to our abode here at 1620 The Zone. And I was told that your order was buffalo chicken pizza just to troll Connor.
Just to troll. Look at that. Look at this. I'm using this as a prop for content on the show.
Now, wouldn't you rather have pizza that, like stuff that was made to be put on pizza? Because I would.
I got some of that too. Don't worry.
By the way, where is this from?
Not your father's pizza, but
nice. Well, I mean, we should say it, right?
I like Mama's pizza.
Yeah, Mama's pizza. It's delicious. Creighton just feels like they're grabbing it and then letting go of the leash a little bit here in this match. 11-10 in the second set after dropping the first.
They were up
it was 7-2 maybe at one point, 7-3.
Yeah.
It was definitely 4. I think it's 3-1. They had a point reverse. It would have been 4-0. But this one might be a nail biter all the way to the end. Creighton clearly good enough. In case people were wondering about that, Creighton clearly good enough.
Seems that way.
But ultimately it comes down to little things here and there. Josh, this weekend, as I said at the beginning of the show, is a celebration for fans of what college football used to be. This weekend, we have the Heisman, something that people of a certain age take great pride in. And if you are younger than myself, probably just about any younger than myself, you don't care about the Heisman whatsoever. You've never watched the Heisman ceremony. You can't remember the people who got invited to the Heisman ceremonies. You can't remember who's got snubbed.
The only thing you can remember is I was told Ndamukong Suh should have won the Heisman.
Yeah, right.
And I remember some guy talking and talking and talking when I was waiting for a Bud Crawford fight to start.
Okay. That's your experience with the Heisman.
That's
if you're younger than me.
Yeah.
If you're my age or older, you probably have a party trick where you can name all the Heisman winners dating back to 1970, whatever.
Since Archie Griffin won his first Heisman, I can tell you every winner.
Yeah, it's cool. It's awesome, but it's different for different generations, and this award just, for whatever reason, hasn't quite meant as much to the sport.
The trick is you're going to forget Gino Torretta. Don't forget Gino.
We have I met Gino Torretta this year.
Oh, wow.
at the one of the games. He was doing radio. Anyway, and then we have the Army-Navy game. Pageantry, history, troops, flyovers,
America,
triple option.
Yeah, both good teams this year.
Beautiful, beautiful thing. And I think what makes it cool this year with the Heisman is we actually have a discussion about this. So the top two are Travis Hunter, wide receiver, defensive back from Colorado, and Ashton Jeanty, running back from Boise State. Ashton Jeanty's stats are off the charts. This year, he has been fantastic in every single game that he's played in, minus maybe one bummer of a game this year where he rushed for under 100 yards. He is 3 yards shy of 2,500 rushing yards, 29 touchdowns, and he's averaging 7.3 yards per carry in 13 games for Boise State this year. He's been dominant.
Fourth best single season all time.
He also has added 364 yards receiving and another touchdown. So 30 total touchdowns for Ashton Jeanty this year. Travis Hunter, he is certainly an All-American. He I believe Travis Hunter is more projectable as a defensive back than he is as a wide receiver. I think most people believe that. Like he's going to go in the NFL as a really, really, really good lockdown corner. I think he'll be awesome.
He says he intends to play both ways.
He is so much fun to watch. He is so much fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. And because of that, he belongs in the Heisman conversation. But does he belong at the top? He's very prolific as a wide receiver. 92 catches for 1,152 yards and 14 touchdowns. It's a great season. And then he's, defensive back stats are really, really difficult to, track, because really what you're counting is how the frequency in which teams are throwing at you, which is little.
Yeah, if you're as good as Travis Hunter, it's never.
Exactly. But you watch him and you say, oh my God, that guy's the best guy on the field. He's the best player on the field. And it's created quite an interesting discussion and debate in the Heisman community over the last few weeks here.
The Heisman Hive, the Heisman House?
In the college football community, I guess I should say. So last night, Travis Hunter won the Biletnikoff Award for the best wide receiver in the country. And people said, well, there was a guy who played for San Jose State who led the country in yards, touchdowns, and catches. Like he won the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
And they said, why did Travis Hunter win this award? And that is added to the conversation as well. Fascinating to see this whole play out, which Travis Hunter is a heavy favorite according to the betting odds, and the voting went in on Monday. And so I'm curious to see what happens with this. But we have a real life Heisman discussion for the first time in a long time. It's exciting.
I would like Ashton. I think it would be neat if Ashton Jeanty won the Heisman. I don't think it's going to happen.
I would prefer that he wins it as well, and I think it'd be cooler if he won it as well. But what I don't want to do is use that as a point to take away from Travis.
Yeah.
Right? Because now people are doing this thing of snaps aren't stats.
Snaps aren't stats.
Kind of is. Are you serious? It doesn't make it a lot cooler that he plays every snap on both sides of the ball, and that's not a big part of his candidacy?
Pretty impressive.
That's kind of wrong. That's incorrect, that narrative that's out there. His candidacy is buried in the fact that he does play every snap, and he's a dominant player on both sides of the ball. And because he plays every snap, he is not the most prolific on offense. I don't know if he would be, but he's still one of the best on defense. And obviously he's a huge difference maker on offense. That is a part of the conversation, in my opinion.
If he had a better quarterback, maybe he'd be better at receiver.
That guy's pretty good too.
Yeah. Holds on to the ball too long.
I think Travis Hunter is going to win, and I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a cool moment.
I do not have a problem with it.
It's going to be a cool moment. Prime's going to be there.
I've gained a lot of respect.
Be there.
I've gained a lot of respect for Travis Hunter over the last 2 years.
We've talked about this time and time again.
I respect that.
Somewhere along the way this season,
they
turned their own narrative around.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know if maybe as a Nebraska fan we just sort of, it doesn't bother me anymore. We beat them.
Yeah, they became mildly likable, or I don't know what it is.
Yeah, they were hanging out with what's her name, who's really old.
Oh, the old lady.
Yeah,
the old lady.
I'm sorry, sales guy Josh, Buff Josh. I don't know.
He's not listening. He's watching the game upstairs.
Oh, okay.
The score: Texas 16, Creighton 20. Second set.
Why'd you say it weird like that?
16-20.
The zone.
That's why I said it that way.
I was like, oh.
That's why I said it.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have said 2016.
Now,
what do you think about that, Josh? Big fan of 2016?
A lot of things happened.
Yep.
I mean, Ashton Jeanty, 4th most yards in a season all time. The bowl game yardage will not count no matter how many games he plays.
I think it's great. I'm just here for the conversation. I hope both sides have fun.
I guess
because I love that it's not I love that it's not Ashton Jeanty versus Derrick Henry. the running back at Alabama, right? I love that it's Ashton Genty, not against Mac Jones or Trevor Lawrence or whatever it is. Like, that conversation would suck. This is fun.
This is fun because Boise State and Colorado are two schools that don't get to do this all the time. For the sport, I'm just glad that this award actually has some eyeballs around it this time around. Like, the last seems like, I don't know, 5-10 years. Oh yeah, the Heisman's tonight.
Have fun seeing Johnny, Mike, Eric
on
the stage, front and center.
All those big jackets.
Saturday night.
I mean,
live from New York.
Ashton Genty didn't, like, Melvin Gordon and Kevin Smith from UCF finished ahead of him, and they didn't win the Heisman. Like, you're gonna have to break Barry's record to get the Heisman as a running back.
Yeah, but they're in the playoff.
They are in the playoff with a bye, triggering many a talking head on ESPN for some reason.
All right, we can come back. I want to get your guys' thoughts on that, and still plenty more to cover here on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
It's 23-19 Creighton in set 2.
We don't have the rights to air it. It's an NCAA tournament game.
No, that's just an update.
Yeah, apparently people were calling the front office.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no radio crew for this one.
Mm-mm.
We would if it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, I'd do it.
24-19.
24.
Would you have gone to Happy Valley?
I hear it's hard to get to.
Well, I mean, it would have been. You would have been taken care of.
One road in, one road out.
Yeah. No, they took a plane.
Some of the wretched hole-in-the-wall places I've been for a sports trip, Connor, yes, I would go to Happy Valley.
I figured.
Have you ever been to Kansas? Literally anywhere in Kansas?
A few places in Kansas. I went to Wichita for a weekend. My buddy got married down there.
I think Wichita might be the best Kansas.
Bang! 25-19 Jays.
Let's go!
Set number 2. They finished that set. All right. So 1-1 going into the third. I gotta be honest, Creighton looks like the better team right now.
You're biased.
I definitely am.
Okay. I think you're actually right.
I might be right, but I can't lie to you. I am biased.
Feels like Creighton did let the first set slip. They led until Texas scored their 25th point.
Travis writes in.
Hi, Travis.
But Connor, the runway in Happy Valley is too short. Yes, don't ask James Franklin or whoever else about this. Very, very difficult place. They need a bigger airport. I hope James Franklin can use the fact that everybody's has so much money now for leverage to get his airport.
You love airports.
And call it the James Franklin Airport.
Oh. What would they call it? So many of their legends have...
Probably not good to name it after them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have called it the Paterno Airport at a certain point in time.
Definitely.
Probably not anymore. Probably
go like Nittany Lion Airport or something.
I watched the story that Sotilli did. Apparently, they have this great ice cream place.
Ice cream?
I've never been to Penn. I've never been to Penn State. I've never been to it.
Why would you?
Well, I don't know. Nebraska's played there a few times.
I repeat, why would you?
You just got to fly into Harrisburg and then drive 3 hours up a bunch of hills and stuff like that to get there. It doesn't seem that hard.
Doesn't seem worth it either.
Doesn't seem that hard.
We could do it this fall or next fall.
If that game was not November 22nd,
late November,
I don't know. It just feels like it's got bad travel written all over it. But so Tilly did a story with KTV yesterday, and he just went and ate some ice cream and talked about how the Jays, when they get weekend sweeps, which they will officially not have a weekend sweep this weekend because they lost their first set,
they can sweep.
They
Penn
go
State
afterwards and they get ice cream, and they have a creamery right on campus for them to check out. Now that would be funny.
What an insult! Hey, we swept your volleyball team, and we're eating your ice cream.
Eating your ice cream, and let me tell you, it's delicious. Would they shut down the creamery?
Sweet flex.
So a couple things. We'll get to the volleyball and the basketball for the weekend coming up in a second. I did want to mention this. We talked a lot about Bill Belichick yesterday, coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels.
People forget.
And if you want to listen to a halfway decent conversation about, talking through the points of whether or not it will work, you can listen to yesterday's crossover, believe it or not.
Yeah. Also, if you subscribe to 1620, the email, there's a nice segment from our show yesterday.
So a lot of Belichick conversation.
It's the talk of the sports universe.
Let me add another piece to it. So the contract details came out yesterday. This is something that we did not know at the time that we were on the air. The contract details came out yesterday afternoon. And in there, the buyout figures were made public. kind of interesting, Josh.
I have heard some rumblings.
I'll read it to you.
Please.
Is the category of buyout. Coach terminates without cause. Once again, coach terminates without cause, meaning when does this usually get enacted? When a coach takes another job. Mm-hmm. Termination prior to June 1st, 2025. This is June 1st of next year, before the season even starts. $10 million. Interesting date, though. Termination on or after June 1st, 2025. The first year. $1 million.
On or after?
Yes. That's right. Bill Belichick can take another job next year where that other job only has to pay $1 million to get Bill Belichick out of his North Carolina deal on or after June 1st. That's before he's coached a football game at North Carolina. Now, it is just another example of Bill Belichick having all of the leverage in this situation, him getting whatever he wants. But I don't know. That is pretty, there's a lot to read into from that, to be honest with you. $1 million? It's nothing.
That's nothing. It will not impact anything. Is this Bill being nice? Like, hey, my dad coached there. Like, I genuinely want to be here. Let me just make this buyout not a problem for you guys. Seems rare.
Oh, no. That's not how I would read it.
Okay.
That's not how I would read it.
How would you read it?
I would read it as this gives future employers the ability to have the freedom to hire him without any recourse whatsoever.
Or if Carolina,
it is bad for North Carolina.
Or if Carolina,
wouldn't North Carolina want the buyout to be extremely high so they could get paid if they're left high and dry in June from a guy that they just spent all this money on, whatever, NIL and resources and blah, 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 and staff and this and that. I mean, they're going to be one of the top spenders in the sport next year, all because of this guy.
But if he turns the place upside down, you can, hey, Bill, this ain't working. You got to go.
No, that would never happen. They're not going to do that. They're not going to fire him. They're not going to fire him. Once again, this gives, like, you can't fire him before he's coached. That's not on the table.
That would be wild.
That's not on the table, right? This gives Bill the freedom to take whatever job he wants without any recourse, really whatsoever.
But Tommy Rees, we really want Tommy Rees to be our coach.
They did not have very many options.
Sure seems that way. Seems like Bill Belichick came along at the right time.
Oh no, it's fascinating. It is fascinating. So definitely a big part of the equation with Bill Belichick. That's for sure. Oh, one more thing before we get to the weekend here. Juan Soto. Juan Soto said yesterday, new member of the New York Mets, that he has not spoken with any of his Yankees teammates since they played their last game in the World Series.
Are we buying this?
Against the Dodgers. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We
okay.
I am.
Okay.
I am. Does Juan Soto seem like I don't know. I don't want to necessarily put him in whichever box, stereotype, whatever.
I mean, a lot of people who cover the sport are saying the thing that I think you kind of backed away from just saying.
What?
He's afraid of the pressures of being a New York Yankee.
I think there is a different. It's different being a New York Yankee than being a New York Met. Not only the pressures of it, but also the culture of it, right? The Yankees are a very serious baseball organization. The Mets are a very serious baseball organization, of course, but in like a goofy, zany way. Like, oh, we like grimace, like,
oops, we went under 500.
And look at the people in their locker room and look at the personalities in their locker room. And I watch the Yankees and I rarely feel like they're having fun.
There's never been a joke told in that clubhouse.
By rule, they don't show personality
Mm-hmm.
because they can't have facial hair.
Which is why Jazz Chisholm was always a weird fit with that team.
Agreed completely. But, for a rental, a baseball player is a baseball player, I guess. And it just, retrospectively, it just never really seemed like he fit as a New York Yankee. And Yankee fans are having to grapple with that today, which has not been fun for them. It doesn't seem.
But
maybe it has been fun for them because it's really easy. It's a clean break now. They can throw them under the bus and say, yeah, great. You want to go screw off over on the other side of town? Awesome.
Couldn't hack it here. Bring us Max Fried.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to hear him say that.
It sounds like classic Mets, though, right? Like, we got the hood ornament.
Yeah.
We got nothing else, but we got the hood ornament.
Yeah. Also, kind of a jerk move to just not, never have any correspondences with your teammates. And it's funny because I go back and forth. He's clearly, we say that people are about the money and whatever. I mean, he's clearly kind of about the money, right? He's already played. This is now going to be his fourth team.
Uh-huh.
And how old is he? 25? 26?
$5 million difference.
He's forced his way out of multiple situations.
Yeah.
And he's now going to be on a 15-year, $700+ million contract.
Largest in professional sports.
Yeah. How long do you think he's a Met? 3 years?
7.
7 years?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, how long before he wants out of that? How long before it gets stale?
Well, I saw him show up to the press conference. He might be on the Albert Pujols track of I have my long-term deal. Thank you.
Blame Fanatics. It's just a bad fitting jersey.
Bad fitting jersey. Okay.
Yep. But he did look like he had a bit of a tummy.
A tum-tum.
David writes in, maybe he wants to grow a goatee.
That is possible. You cannot do that on the other New York baseball team.
Could have a mustache.
Mm-hmm. Do I look like a co-op?
This is a great deal for Nestor Cortez, who was traded today and now doesn't have to walk around and literally look like a New York City cop.
Mm-hmm.
He literally did. Now he could add some more facial hair to the repertoire. Now he plays for the Brewers.
And a beer gut.
We'll see what Soto does. I don't even know if Soto can grow facial hair.
Good question.
Seems like a no facial hair guy.
Yeah.
Travis writes in.
Travis.
Oh, a baseball player being a tool bag. I am shocked.
It does happen. From time to time.
All right. Volleyball, basketball this weekend. And a couple other things as we have our final show together for a week.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
The 2 weeks, because I'll be gone everybody will be gone the next week. Except for you, but no, you won't be on the air.
I will not be talking to any of you.
All right. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. Creighton 11, Texas 9. Notice how I didn't say it the other way.
I did notice that. Thank you. I was worried.
Set number 3, with the two tied at a set apiece so far. This is the Sweet 16. Winner gets the winner of Marquette and Penn State, which will likely probably be Penn State. But don't count out the Big East. Don't count out the Big East. Josh, the Big East.
Welcome to the Big East.
Welcome to the Big East.
That's what they say.
It'll be a welcome to the Big East this weekend. Creighton and Alabama. Creighton and Alabama.
The greatest rivalry in sports.
Thank you.
You've turned me.
It's huge. I remember being so nervous and scared for that NCAA tournament game, that opening round game in 2012. And just because, I mean, Creighton had dug at that point, and it was just like they hadn't really done it in the tournament. It was their first real run through with this group, and you were still in the Valley, and you felt like, all right, how good really is this team? I don't know. We have to retransport our minds back to that time when Creighton was in the Valley, and every time you got tested against a high major opponent, you just had to hold your breath because you weren't exactly sure. Doug was fine. He had 16. Doug McDermott, not old man Doug. Doug was fine. He had 16 points, 6 of 12 in that game against Alabama. And I thought Creighton was, it was 30-23 at half. They were kind of dead. And they have this surge in the last few minutes of the game, and ended up getting a big shot and then a defensive stand at the end. Dougie was a part of the kind of comeback late, and I think Josh Jones hit a big shot, and Creighton got a stop on Trevor Relaford. And this is what started the greatest rivalry in college sports. Then
That's
they played
the origin point.
Then they played each other in the NIT in 2016, and then they played each other here last year. I forgot that last year how that game ended. So Creighton was like, they were in control, and then it was just like Alabama almost came all the way back. And remember the shot, I think it was Sears who got it beyond half court. It would have been to tie the game. It bounced off the backboard, off the front rim, back off the backboard, and flung out. It was like, whoa. That was almost horrendous. Now, forgive me if I don't have all of my Creighton, Alabama history all tied up, but it's definitely a heated rivalry. Alabama, another one of the fan bases that has just grown to very much dislike Creighton basketball over the years. Throw North Carolina in there.
Living rent free in those Crimson Tide heads.
Yeah. So they'll go after it tomorrow night on the SEC network,
where Creighton belongs, as God intended.
I don't think Creighton's ever played on the SEC network before. Well, Rob Anderson might have that stat.
Seems very unlikely.
I don't think Creighton's probably ever played on the SEC network. When was their last? This might be in Rob's notes. When was their last true road game at an SEC school?
Ooh,
has this even happened before?
It's the best conference in basketball.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of their last true road game at an SEC school. So you're 3-0 against Alabama. Creighton. So by the way, Rob had this in his notes. Creighton trailed 48-41 with less than 9 minutes to play before a 10-0 run gave them a lead for good. In that first game in 2012, Doug McDermott had 16 points in the game. Then they had met in the first round in 2016 NIT. Creighton won 72-54. Maurice Watson led all players with 20. Jeff Grosel had a double-double, 12 and 14, and 3 block shots. And last year, Creighton won 85-82, thanks to 61 combined points from Trey Alexander, Baylor Shireman, and Ryan Kalkbrenner. Sears had 19. Alabama made just 4 of 22 on three-pointers last year. Mack is 3-1 against Alabama in his career.
But Creighton is 3-0, right? Looked that up.
Creighton is 3-0 all time against Alabama. Let's see. Road. I guess this is technically Creighton's road opener.
Oh, wow, it is, isn't it? Wow.
The season's 6 weeks old. Here's Creighton's road opener. 7-7 under Mac in first true road games of the season. They won at Oklahoma State last year. I don't think there's any stats about the SEC in here, but I was really hoping. Really hoping. All right, 15-14 Texas now over Creighton in the third set.
I believe that's their first lead of the set.
We've hit another blast of heat.
Yes.
Here, by the way, in our studio.
I'm dying.
Meanwhile, Nebraska tonight at Pinnacle Bank Arena. A huge game for them. Huge game for them.
In a couple of different aspects.
Why? What's the couple?
The big conference game against Indiana, you need to get right. Big game in the sense that it's on Big Fox. Like a lot of people watching.
I guess so. I guess that's
you don't want to
important.
go lay an egg on Big Fox. You don't want to have a repeat of Michigan State on Big Fox. Like
no, I don't think that's in the cards. I don't know if that's really on the table for them tonight. I think it's a big game for their I think it's a big game in the sense that you need to get 1-1 in the league.
Like BC said.
Split the two early conference games. But also just to kind of get that taste out of your mouth a little bit from that last one against Michigan State. I don't know that it matters so much like who's watching or what kind of stage they get,
sure,
or whatever. But it's a big game. Nebraska hasn't lost a home conference game in almost 2 years now.
That's right.
And I kind of feel like Nebraska is going to be in good shape for this one. I always, and I say this with football, like I always tend to like their response. They have these stinkers, and we got to at some point get to the bottom and solve the issue on why every once in a while it's just not there, whether it's in football and basketball, and it's just like inexplicably gone for an entire game or 30 minutes of a game, and it sinks them. I don't know what that is, and I don't know why it's so closely attached to Nebraska, but it does seem like it happens. But they always seem to respond from these things. So I think they'll play well. They will tonight, and they'll play well tonight and win.
3.5 point favorite.
3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was close to a pick 'em basically all week. So must be people all over GBR tonight.
Indiana plus 150 on the money line.
Here's my little KenPom.
Yeah, what's the little KenPom thing you said?
It says Nebraska by 1 over Indiana, 75-76.
Sometimes KenPom's full of shit.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And as BC mentioned, Nebraska doesn't play again for at least what's that, 10 days?
9 days, 10 days?
Yeah,
something like that.
When they go to the weird Hawaii tournament.
Mm-hmm.
They open with Murray State, and then they play somebody some other 2 other crappy games in that tournament. Nebraska needs to win at, what is it, the Diamond Head Classic? Nebraska needs to win that tournament.
You're going to go ahead and do
Nebraska should not get anything other than first in that tournament. It's not a great tournament. And then you have one more bye game in the non-con when you come back against Southern right around the new year, and then it's full on conference play from then on out. So this is a really big game tonight, I feel like, for Nebraska, and I feel like they're in pretty good shape. Nebraska volleyball tonight.
Yeah, downtown should be rocking tonight.
Be good.
Should be a cool little scene, actually.
Nebraska volleyball tonight, and then Sunday afternoon at 2:00. If they win, that'll get the ABC treatment. If you're the ESPN family of networks and you got the opportunity to put Nebraska on your linear network, you take that opportunity.
Easy layup.
And it just so happens that Wisconsin might be the opponent. So we'll see what happens with Texas A&M and Wisconsin. It's the first game in that regional in Lincoln.
Or it
could be a
Trev
good weekend.
Alberts.
Or it could be Trev. I don't think that will draw probably as many eyes.
No.
But
I love the SEC.
If you love your volleyball, if you love your basketball, if you if you love your volleyball and you love your basketball, it's gonna be a good weekend for you.
There's a lot on TV. this weekend.
There's a lot on TV. There's a lot of happening in the state.
It's a lot of different little things. I don't want to say weird, but it's like it's different from the all right, I'm going to park it in front of the TV. I'm going to have the one channel on for 12 hours.
I like that.
You're going to be bouncing around.
I like that. I like to flip around a little bit. Yeah. We're almost in the season, Josh, where we get some wacko games, some wacko sporting events. Like, we get into after football season ends, and it's like, all right, what's coming up this weekend? Oh my God, it's there's a big boxing fight this weekend, or there's a random celebrity golf tournament that is kind of fun this weekend. We're almost in the wilderness on this thing.
Hey, let's try something. Season.
We got a lot of college basketball.
Oh yeah,
a lot of college basketball. A lot of college basketball.
A lot of good basketball.
I wonder what will happen in the portal. I wonder what will happen as it pertains to the coaching staff, or anything like that. We really haven't talked about. Sorry, what's that, Josh?
What does he know?
What do I know?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I told you guys yesterday. I think Nebraska is going to hire a new defensive backs coach with Miami ties, South Florida ties. That's another point. 21-17.
Ed Reed,
Jays. It will not be Ed Reed.
Damn.
I don't expect it to be Ed Reed.
That guy's good.
So we'll see if that comes to fruition this weekend. Sorry, I had another thing and I lost it now.
I'm sorry. Did my Ed Reed comment get you off track?
Yeah, something that you said.
I'm sorry.
I can't remember what it was. Oh, and then football. Yeah, we haven't really talked about Williams Nwaneri yet. We got to get straight on that pronunciation, by the way. We'll figure that one out. That's a goal of mine this weekend.
As a collective.
But, what an interesting pickup for Nebraska, because it was a 5-star and comes in, didn't play a lot this past year at Missouri, took the red shirt, 4 games, and
very few snaps.
I would really like to get to the bottom, I guess, of why. Was it a situation where they just felt like he wasn't contributing in practice enough to be able to get on the field? There have been some questions from people that I've read about sort of the motor all the time.
Okay.
Right. But obviously the physical traits are there, has plenty of upside. So can Nebraska either, put him in a position where he's going to play or get more out of him than his previous stop did? But no doubt about it, if it works out, I mean, it's a key pickup.
Well, I mean,
for Nebraska, they need it badly.
That reaction that Missouri had after they signed him didn't match how they used him. I mean,
yeah.
I know they started 6-1 or something like that. So they were probably like, "Hey, we're rolling. We can keep this guy sitting and have him another year, maybe." And maybe that was the straw for him.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'd like to get sort of to the bottom of that story, but it's definitely a big pickup, and Nebraska's going to be bringing in a bunch of visitors this weekend. Some that and I think some that probably will just sneak in. Nebraska's, they're going to be doing a lot over the next couple weekends before they finally turn their attention over a little bit to the Pinstripe Bowl, which they are practicing for. Is that in? No. Which they are practicing for right now. Get those extra practices.
That's what it's all about.
It's all about the extra practices. I think it's about the extra practices and the extra press conferences.
Love those extra pressies.
To hear from Matt Rule a little bit more. Travis writes in.
Hi, Travis.
Sounds just like Nebraska fans after a kid leaves Nebraska for the transfer portal.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's lazy bum. Get out of here. We don't like you. We don't need you. I'm watching the volleyball game through Connor's face. He's waiting. Eyes darting back and forth.
No, nothing happened.
Okay.
I mean, Texas got a point. They got to finish. Got to finish this one off. 24-21. Creighton took a timeout to try and get set up and figured out at the end of the third set here. All right, we're living and dying on this thing. We'll be back after this. We got the polls. We'll tell you what to watch on 1620 The Zone. Creighton volleyball one set away from taking down the two-time defending national champions in the Texas Longhorns in State College, Pennsylvania. That leads 2-1. Creighton also trying to notch their second ever Elite Eight appearance.
So I know we got to get rolling and all that, but shoulda, woulda, coulda also. Creighton should have swept the two-time defending national champion Texas Longhorns.
I think that is a reasonable take.
Think about that.
I've been telling people, like, if you don't know, they're really good.
You've been on this, even when they were.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, okay, they're rolling through teams in the Big East. Big East isn't very good.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't know
25-2.
I don't know how good they are.
Right.
And I should have swept the two-time defending national champion.
They do as good of a job at playing to their own standard as, any team in their position that I've seen. Right. So, and it's uncommon, right? You're one of the best teams in the country in a conference that leaves a lot to be desired.
It would be very easy to take a set off because you got it, right?
Yeah.
And
I gotta be honest, they have done that, but they absolutely play to their own standard. And as is true with most of the Creighton, successful Creighton teams, whether it's volleyball, men's basketball, women's basketball, they just always find a way to have stone cold killers, laser focused.
Although they're down 1-0 right now.
Yeah, there was a net violation. They should have. Anyway, so they're one set away from taking it against Texas. All right, to the polls. At Happer Show on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed, have you ever bought shoes?
Yes, of course I have.
Yep, I'm an adult. 93% say yes.
One person who works here hasn't ever bought shoes.
Would Nebraska and Creighton meeting in the Final Four be kind of like the Eras Tour?
For Nebraskans, yes.
Kind of, yeah. 54% say yes.
Oh, come on. Those are rookie numbers.
Those are the polls, Josh. What are we watching?
A lot of football on this weekend. NFL, both networks have a doubleheader. Chiefs, Browns at noon on CBS and 1290. Bills, Lions, game of the year, maybe? 3 o'clock on CBS. For some reason, we are being subjected to Cowboys, Panthers at noon on Fox, but it's followed by Steelers, Eagles.
I think there's going to be some intrigue in Cowboys, Panthers. Because I think the Panthers are going to win.
I think they're good. Not good, but getting better,
No,
figuring some things out.
The Cowboys are a disaster. The Cowboys being a disaster is great.
It is good.
It's great for ratings.
Packers Seahawks, your Sunday night game on NBC. College football. Idaho takes on number 1 Montana State tonight, 8 o'clock on ESPN in the FCS quarterfinals. All of your Dakota schools are well represented here. South Dakota plays at 2 o'clock tomorrow. South Dakota State plays at 11 a.m. tomorrow. North Dakota State plays at 2:30 on ABC tomorrow. And, of course, no portal, no NIL, no problem. It is America's game for the, 150th time? Army versus Navy, 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Is it 150?
It's a nice round number. I forget what the number is right now. I'm sorry, America. CBS 1620 will have the game for you as well. Cricket Celebration Bowl, Jackson State versus South Carolina State, 11 a.m. tomorrow on ABC. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, ESPN, the Salute to Veterans Bowl, South Alabama versus Western Michigan. The Heisman will be given away at 7 o'clock on ESPN. A lot of basketball on. Huskers host the Hoosiers tonight. Big Fox, 7 o'clock.
Go Huskers! Go Big Red!
Mavericks are in Iowa Friday and Sunday tonight against UNI on ESPN Plus. And 1180 The Zone at 7 o'clock. Number 11, Texas A&M at number 11, Purdue, 11 a.m. tomorrow on CBS. Louisville versus Kentucky, 4 o'clock tomorrow on ESPN. Number 1, Tennessee is at Illinois for some reason, 4:30 tomorrow. Big Fox. Gonzaga, UConn, Saturday night, Big Fox, 7 o'clock. And, of course, Creighton in Alabama, 6 o'clock start on 1620 The Zone, 7:30 start on SEC Network. The women play on Sunday at noon on Big Ten Plus. The 24th ranked Huskers take on the Mocs of Tennessee Chattanooga. Volleyball going on right now. Creighton has a 2-1 set lead on Texas. The winner of that will play the winner of Penn State Marquette on Sunday. Number 3 Nebraska, takes on number 23 Dayton around 8:30 tonight, maybe closer to 9 on ESPN2. They'll take on the winner of Wisconsin Texas A&M.
Late night at the Bob.
Yeah, 2:00 on Sunday. NBA Cup semifinals in Vegas tomorrow, Connor.
No.
Hawks Bucks 3:30 on TNT. 7:30 ABC. It is Rockets Thunder. Let's see. Joker, Folie à Deux, the sequel to Joker, which has been panned by everyone with eyes and a heart, is on Max.
That sounds horrible.
And the New York Sack Exchange, 30 for 30 on the D line of the 80s, where we all saw Mark Gastineau and his CTE in real life.
Mark Gastineau.
He'll be yelling at you for 90 minutes.
Went from someone who modern day people have no opinion on to now modern day people everyone hates in 10 seconds.
He made Brett Favre seem sympathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough look for Mark Gastineau.
That is.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That is the show. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. We'll continue to follow volleyball. Josh, go Reavers.
Go Reavers!
We'll be calling you from your Champagne Soak hotel room at some point next week.
Okay. I'll be there, hopefully, with another set of rings.
All right. That's it for us today. 1620thezone.com. You can find it all there. Crossover coming up.